Muy buenas a todos y bienvenidos a un nuevo directo en el canal. Ahora sí, vamos a ver el New Game Plus Showcase. Vemos qué está pasando. Disculpen la demora, pero bueno, estaba un poco ocupado. Y vemos qué nos preparan los chicos. Bueno, estamos viendo el tráiler que habían publicado ellos. Cómo me molesta que esté en 1080p, pero bueno. Espero que esté Assassin's Creed 4 Remake acá. Ya quiero verlo de una vez. Igual que el Prince of Persia Remake.
Welcome to the
Y
New
ahora
Game
sí,
Plus Game Showcase, a
arrancamos.
new initiative built by creators who love games for what they are and not just the games that pay to have them promoted. First up, I'm Hunter. I'm normally behind the camera across gaming and esports events, and I work on social accounts for a ton of different games. My favorite games of all time would probably be RuneScape, Dark Souls 3, Leaf Green, Black Ops 2, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Then we have Jake Lucky,
Y está desarrollado por
gaming, esports, and streamers collide. If you look at him for too long, you'll start to wonder why his
streamers,
neck is so long, and if you look at his Twitter for too long, you'll wonder how much Nadeshot paid him to tweet clips of him every single day. His favorite games of all time are RuneScape, Age of Empires 2, Halo Infinite, Jumpstart Adventures with Bodley, and CSGO. Next up, Luality, a streamer with a hatred of spoons and a love for dragon sex. Lua probably has more personality than the rest of us in her pinky. Her favorite games include Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, XCOM 2, Witcher 3, and Mass Effect. Then, Luke Stevens, the mind of a critic with the heart of a fan. Luke breaks down games to their DNA and really looks at everything a game has to offer. Where our brains might be smooth,
no
his
los,
is
bueno,
nice
algunos los
and
ubico,
wrinkled.
pero
His favorite games
no
of
los
all
sigo a
time
ninguno.
are
Eso
Elden
seguro.
Ring, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Last of Us, Witcher 3, and Batman Arkham City. The fifth and final in-person member this year is I Am Rob. Rob came from the hell of making Call of Duty videos to the other hell of platinuming games. His favorite games of all time are Witcher 3, Halo 3, Batman Arkham City, X-Men Legends, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Not to be confused with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2
mucho Call of
or
Duty.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Remastered. Then our final member is Blue Thunder, the man who is always spotlighting the next hidden gem before anyone else sees it coming. He just had a beautiful second child that luckily takes after his wife, so he's not here in person but was a major part of the showcase. His favorite games of all time are Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 2, Elden Ring, The Last of Us, and Metal Gear Solid 2.
Together, we're pressing into how we think game showcases should feel: conversational, authentic, and transparent.
We are here to celebrate what actually excites us: incredible worlds, creative devs, and stories behind those games that we love so much.
There's no paid placements, no marketing scripts, just pure passion
¿Cómo
and
le pegan
excitement for
a
what's coming up in gaming.
al Dorito?
You can expect a wide range of
Sin
content,
pagos, sin
including
publicidades.
new trailers, fresh gameplay, developer interviews,
Dándole
behind-the-scenes
tiempo a los
content,
juegos.
and even some updates to your favorite games.
So sit back, grab your drink of choice, and let's dive into some of the games that we think are worth your attention. This is the New Game Plus Game Showcase.
Also, who picked the name?
New Game.
It's a work in progress.
Wait, what's the name of
New
it?
Game Plus shows the
New
showcase.
plus a game plus a showcase.
Have we trademarked that yet? Because I don't.
Oh, God.
Well, we have cups.
We
That's
already
most of
got
it.
the cup.
Sick name.
The cups are done,
We
dude.
might have to cut our losses.
There's no changing it.
Cheers.
Perfect.
And it's great.
Bueno, a ver. Empecemos con los juegos.
All right, guys, so first up, we have 3 awesome games. We have Blind Descent coming from Owlcat. We have Deep Dish Dungeon coming from Behold and Raw Fury, as well as an exclusive interview with the Don Walker creative director.
Otro simulador de escalada. Qué mala calidad de transmisión, la verdad. Blind Descent. Típico juego de Steam y Epic. Este es el típico juego para nostálgicos, pero que puede estar divertido. Deep Dish Dungeon. No me llama la atención, pero bueno. Tercer juego. Ah, este es de los creadores de The Witcher 3. De uno de los escritores.
A Dawnwalker is like a
Red of
special
Wolf.
kind of being in our IP. It's neither fully a vampire nor a human. It's something in between. What this means is basically
Se
that
ve bien, pero la calidad del video no ayuda.
You have underwent a transformation. You used to be human. And now, during the nighttime, you do get all the powers and the difficulties of being a vampire. So you get the blood craving and so on. But during daytime, these powers are dormant and you still have to eat. You have all the weaknesses of a human, right? But also the perks of being human. One
Y
of the
está
things
muy
that
The
is
Witcher
unique
3.
to humans in our IP is being able to use magic, so casting spells. The Dawnwalkers are not very commonplace in that IP. They are very, very rare, rarer than vampires. So you as a Dawnwalker are kind of special in this regard. I would say the short-term things that have immediate impact on the character development are you have to feed on, you know, either animals or humans on blood suddenly, right? So you get these cravings, you get these like weird, eerie experiences that you didn't have as a human.
Combate está,
Francis and his clique of vampires
digamos, más o menos.
actually caught him on his low point.
Hay
when
que
he
ser
was
un
vulnerable.
vampiro
He
también.
has used a specific traits of vampiric blood in order to cement his position in the valley. Because, you know, as you might imagine, having a bloodsucker as your lord might be a tough sell. However, if the alternative is getting sick and, dying in thousands, actually it doesn't sound as such a horrible thing. He tries to kind of distort their religious beliefs in order to install himself as a savior of the valley. We do explore this in the game, so you might see, like, for example, statues erected to Brentsis, new iconography shown in the local cathedral, for example, and in the castle and so on. There is this whole
Eso sí, estamos viendo en la misma zona un par de veces. No hay mucho para eso.
Basically shows himself as something
Oh, no
better
quiere
than the old
mostrar.
order, right? We do have a mechanic tied to shrines that are erected across the valley, and Brentsis puts a lot of
Qué
attention
mala
to
calidad.
kind of twist them to his own image, and these do have a functionality.
Esto debería
When you
estar
play the
en
game,
4K.
We have assigned specific functions to them. Generally speaking, one of the things we wanted to achieve in this game is to have Brentsis being this active antagonist.
Sí, da muy Nevigravo
The
The Witcher
there to
3.
be defeated, but generally speaking, you have free reign. You do your own thing, and it doesn't really, change much in how they approach you. In this game, what we wanted to do is to have Brentsis react to your actions as you, complete different activities throughout the valley, as you maybe undermine his operations and so on.
It's kind of like his seal of approval.
Exactly. So it's like, so basically the way you can think about it is like the more you do in the valley, especially if you undermine Brentsis, you will gain notoriety. The more notorious you are, the more edicts Brentsis will pass in order to thwart you. So for example, he might send out more soldiers to patrol roads and villages, right? He might, in some extreme cases, maybe even initiate a lockdown of the city to basically hamper your ways of traversing it, right? There
No
is a
sé qué
number of these
tanto me
edicts we have to
emociona
break,
la,
and each of them is designed to kind of twist and change
la habilidad de movilidad, digamos, eso de hacerte
it also has benefits,
murciélago por ahí de un lado al otro.
in the valley that
Creo que podía
dislike
estar mejor
Brentsis,
resuelto.
so the more notoriety you gain, the better standing with them you get, like they actually like that. There is a number of plot lines that you can follow if you want. You can also cut them off because we have added these systems where, for example, you might lose control over Cohen when he's a vampire if he was hungry. You might kill off some important NPCs and then the plot line just cuts off basically, or you get some alternative version. There are some ways to enter the castle in the open world. You can ignore these side plot lines. You can level up Cohen and
Bueno, mundo
decide to
abierto,
attack
sí.
the castle on your own,
Todo
right?
Out of
lo
curiosity,
sospechamos.
is there romance in the game?
Romance, yes, of course. We
Romance en el
have
juego.
romance options, yes. We didn't delve deep into like with whom yet.
Okay.
And, I'll leave that for the future to talk about. However, yes, you can expect to build relationships with characters. Like I said, there is
Bueno,
one main goal.
Tiene mucho, bebe mucho, digamos, de The
ways to
Witcher
get
3.
to it. These different ways that you pick will impact
Hasta el combate,
what
parece.
happens with Veil Sangora in the end, and it's all up to you. And I think I really recommend experimenting with this stuff and having fun with it.
First one, Blind Descent, Martian,
Me
Survival.
gusta, van con
co-op,
ritmo
adventure.
los chicos, pensé que se iban a demorar mucho en
Gives
cada
me
cosa.
Subnautica vibes, and in the best way possible. I really like it, but like more with land exploration, which is really cool. I honestly can't wait to try it.
Bueno, eran
We're also
45
gonna
juegos,
see
nos
a lot
quedan
of survival games
42.
today.
Pasaron
So
3.
I think it all comes down to what the ultimate depth of the game is. But my first thought when I saw Martian land was No Man's Sky. That's obviously like maybe a reach for expectation wise, and definitely a tall task. But when I heard Martian, I thought No Man's Sky-esque.
Like you said, a lot of survival games, but I think it's popular right now, and I'm hopeful that a lot of them do it right. But this is like going underneath Mars and has aliens. It looks interesting. I like it.
I'm intrigued about the variety of ecosystems and aliens and plants that they bring up.
Well, like you said, it's popular right now because people like them. And so they share a lot of things mechanically, but for me, it's usually the vibe. And this one has
Sí, ahorita me pareció muy,
Yeah,
muy
it's a
interesante el
good
juego.
That's why I wonder
Lo que
how
no,
that
sí, no,
gameplay
me
would go. It's
pusieron
like how
face.
far down can you go? What kind of biomes are you experiencing as you continue to go down? And like
Me
you
hubiese
said, with
gustado ver algo
survivals, we
de
see like a lot of
fecha.
the same loops. So how can they?
Are there trees you can cut?
Yeah, like again, we're gonna talk about it a lot, but if you can cut a tree down, I'm good for survival games. I'm like
at that point.
I'm the target. I'm the target audience.
Then we have Deep Dish Dungeon, co-op dungeon crawling. a survival game, handcrafted dungeon. You gather resources, cook to strengthen your party. You can party up with friends. I'm excited for it.
Speaking of vibes, this thing is a vibe. Like, I don't know what you'd call that art style, but whatever it is, like injected into my veins.
Retro, right?
It's like pixel art, but then they also have like some voxel type tech for digging and breaking things. I don't know, whatever it is.
Vamos, ritmo, no sé qué ven ahí.
Okay, so when Luke said voxel, that's big word count number 1 of the day. When I see that, I'm very basic. I'm like, that's got to be some form of pixel art, which is definitely coming back. I feel like we're seeing more games kind of pull back that old view, that old like Minecraft pixel art, whatever you want to call it, voxel view.
I will be honest with you guys. While you guys are talking about pixels, I'm thinking I hope I can kill my teammates in funny ways. So sure, we'll go with the pixels.
Yeah, we were watching the trailer together, and the first thing she was saying was like, "Hey, how do I kill those I'm with?"
I mean, I have to imagine it's a dungeon crawling game about cooking in the dungeon. Surely you're gonna be able to accidentally poison yourselves.
Do you think you can get like bad ingredients on purpose to murder your?
I bet you're gonna have to find out.
Why are you going?
So I wonder though, with it being like in
Están perdiendo
dungeons,
tiempo, muchachos.
like if they're gonna have an in-game proximity chat kind of thing.
I hope
It's one of my favorite things in games like this when you're like walking through and you can hear your friend off in the distance. I wonder if they'll do something like
The Lethal Company
effects
where they're like,
Especially if you can hear them screaming.
like screaming.
Friends, for sure.
Yeah, like at
Me
least
and Jake gonna be in their edition in that dungeon.
like at least a co-op. He's across the world. I'm like, Rob, you there?
I'm dishing, baby. I'm dishing.
I'm dishing.
making
Can you bring the carrot?
Bueno, fan streamer, hay que aguantar
Yeah,
esto.
no, but it looks very promising though.
Next up, we have Dawn Walker. Lua had a crazy conversation with her creative director. Single player, vampire, RPG. It looks incredible. I think the 30-day system is awesome and, like you said, gives weight to things. And then the whole, like, there's so many decisions you can make.
What I find really interesting about the game is that Cohen, the protagonist, is half vampire, half man. And even though, like, all of that sounds great by itself, there's even another layer where at night, of course, he
Sí,
can
lo
use
interesante
vampiric
es lo del
abilities that he
vampiro,
doesn't
y
get
bueno,
to use
tampoco
during the daytime.
están
His
revolucionando
combat's different. He's
mucho.
not using a sword,
O
he's
sea,
using claws.
hay
And
que
then
esperar
in
que
the
salga y
daytime,
que
of
sea,
course,
tenga una buena
there's
historia al
NPCs
menos.
walking around, and there's, you know, maybe patrols going around that aren't there at night, but then there's different ones at night. So
And
they
you can use magic as human. You can use magic as a vampire.
Yes, and basically what they're trying to do is to not just have the time be an element of certain actions to take it forward, but also whether you're playing in day or night, quest lines play out completely
Yes.
differently because people are in different spots, their behaviors are different. This person may be asleep, so you can't talk to them,
Have
but
different
somebody else is
abilities.
there. Exactly.
Well, The Witcher 3 is my personal favorite game of all time. So,
I know.
and this is former Witcher 3 developers working on this, and so much of that charm was prevalent.
Algún
there.
día terminaré The Witcher
music,
3.
just that soundtrack.
Lo dejé
short
con
little
80.
snippet we saw there, I felt it.
I love that simple separation between day and night and different things coming with your character.
That's got to be like the coolest part of it.
Yeah, because it's got to probably tailor to your gameplay of like, I got to wait to make this choice during the nighttime versus during the daytime where I can use certain abilities or different combat styles. I love that part of it.
And so I could foresee a run through, like a play style where you're playing only at night for missions. You're just doing stealthy vampire stuff, and you're eating people or you're drinking blood rather, not eating people. I don't know, maybe it's right away. But
Whatever
you know,
you want.
the dark run through versus like the light run through in the daytime, the vegan run through, the vegan run through, which has one of those
Vegan sped run, Dawn Walker.
yeah, vegan achievements.
Sponsored by Beyond Meat. The fact that they revealed a little bit about more Brensis, the Overlord, is also a system. He really talked a lot about systems that they
A ver, vamos con la
have
siguiente
not spoken
tanda de juegos.
yet at all, and didn't with us either.
Like the edicts. As you go around the world trying to find your information, you can side with different people, and depending on what you do, you can make the Brensis quite upset. So he can start making laws and rules to stop you from progressing in a certain way.
I also like that Brensis as an antagonist is not just like pure evil, doing all sorts
Si
of
van a
horrible
hacer
stuff.
esto
Like,
cada
he's
3
helping
juegos,
the-
vamos a
like,
estar
the
acá hasta
people in
las
some ways in
1
order
de la
to
mañana.
get control of them, but he's like curing them of the plague. Like he offers them something they aren't getting elsewhere. So he's doing bad stuff, but there's nuance.
And that typically makes for really, really good stories.
Harder choices to be made,
perspective, and never a clear-cut good or bad.
Yeah, because I bet you there's gonna be a moment where it's
It's
like
one
you
of
could
the
stop
charms.
it, like his influence in an area. That means they're gonna die of the plague. So it's like, do you let the bad guy do the the thing that you're trying to stop him to do, or...
And it's also about perspective. These people were ruled by a very tyrannical leader before, so even though Brent is a vampire to them, he may as well be a savior, right?
Bien, cortamos, sí. 3 juegos más.
For the next section, we have 3, again, I'm gonna have to not say incredible games every single time, but we have Prologue, Go Way Back from PlayerUnknown, Beautiful Light from Deep Worlds, and Project Shadowglass from Starhelm Studios.
A ver.
It's just an infinite map generator with some game loops on top of it. So you have a survival loop, which is pretty hard. Get to the weather tower, we give you a map and a compass and not much else. Some basic survival mechanics, and it's a game against yourself.
Otro survival.
Decisions you make. Then we also have just objective
Esto siempre la pegan en Steam.
See how long you can last in the world, and free roam for those that just like a hike. The differentiator, or the thing that makes a difference, is that we can generate essentially infinite maps of 8x8 scale. Like, we have a map editor in the game and stuff like that, but we want to be able to give you the ability to give a deep link to someone. So I can just send you like a HTTP link that starts up the game, loads a map and a seed, and I can share stuff I've built with you with just a link, right? So it's kind of... Go Way Back is just, it's a technological experiment that, or proving
está bueno el creador de mapas.
Developed. It's no longer an experiment, it's in production, so it works. But it's also going back to my love of survival games and those kind of emergent, just, I'm not giving anyone
un generador de mapas procedural, por lo que veo.
There, and how you get there is fully up to you.
Basically, y es de PlayerUnknown, de los de Battleground.
You get the same weather, I'm pretty sure you get the same cabin layout, and you maybe get the same loot. So you and 4 friends could technically race to the weather tower and see who gets there first, because you have the same conditions. And while we don't have multiplayer yet, you have this kind of asynchronous multiplayer that, as long as you can share the seed with people. And I thought, wouldn't that be a cool thing for events where you have 16 streamers and see how long they can survive in objective survive mode, right? Or see who can race to the weather tower quickest, or we can set up the weather just to get progressively colder and see who lasts the longest. There's a weather tower on top of the higher points on the map. It's generally the other side of the map. We do have points that tell you what to do in the world. There's some simple survival mechanics. Keep yourself warm, keep yourself dry, light fires,
creo que es un juego más de supervivencia, que puede estar bien.
And we don't tell you
para los fans del género,
except when you find a new map in the world and it updates your position, you're left for basic navigation. It's kind of set in the 80s, so you don't have digital GPS, stuff like that. I want to make sure that the worlds we're generating have enough depth that when we add story and mission and quest-based content, that the worlds feel like coherent and real enough that it makes sense. Like, I want to have pathing, I want to have like infrastructure, like telephone lines, this kind of stuff, so the cabins aren't just random cabins in the forest, that there seems
Lástima
to be
que la
some,
resolución, como te dije, del video no deja apreciar los detalles de algunos juegos.
Then we can more easily go, well, okay, you need to connect all the substations to bring power to the weather tower so you can get a message or go and do various things. Right now there's a bunch of cabins and there's survival mechanics, but we want to add a lot more depth to the environment. Preface is a tech demo. That I always said I wanted to release a free tech demo of the engine we're building, and that's what Preface is. And the kind of poetic thing is that my last game will be Preface, because it'll just be a visualization of what's possible with our engine at that time. And it's more like Minecraft survival, that it's an example of what you can do with the engine, and it'll be open source and free for everyone, so you can do whatever you want. So having this kind of digital space, like an inch of 3D, I don't see anyone
con un mapa 3D,
I see small bubbles, but I don't see anyone really trying to do Earth-scale terrain with millions of people. And that's kind of the bigger goal, and that's why we've broken it down into 3 games. The aim is that you should be able to do anything from 10 by 10 to 100 by 100 with 5v5 or 100v100 relatively easily and not have any problems. We will build maybe an Earth-scale terrain, maybe smaller, with hopefully a network layer that supports millions of people. That will be kind of a survival civilization MMO type game. But again, that's just one layer of the world. Like, I want you to be able to just jump around the world and see what's happening, because you should be able to, like, I think if you want to interact with the world, there should be a layer of survival you have to do, or a layer of gameplay in order to kind of leave your impression on the world.
Bueno, también puede estar interesante. Un Minecraft 3D.
Quebec Charlie to Quebec Romeo Fox.
This world.
We got your location report. We are monitoring
Un shooter.
the operation zone. Good luck. Over.
Lo bueno es que hay gameplay, pero no... Y lo malo es que no hay fechas. Me gustaría fechas de los juegos. Me da muy Stalker por partes. Muchas anomalías, tío. Parece que es un extraction shooter. Sí. Otro que se une a la fiesta. Enter Security Extract. Beautiful Light. Bueno. Hay que hacerle competencia a Riders hoy en día.
Pixels were once only 2D. Now they're 3D. Oh, I'm just with you. I'm Dominic John, the dev behind Project Shadowglass, a 3D pixelated RPG that's a love letter to classic immersive
Estos proyectos desarrollados por una persona, supongo.
This video is a series of prototype rooms that I've been working on some of the core systems in.
Bien.
No art,
Estética.
no assets will be generated by AI. This is all human-made, hand-placed,
Muy
made by me and artists.
80s, 90s.
Love what we do. Headphones, I would highly suggest wearing them. All the audio in Project Shadowglass is going to be 3D, and not just 3D, but simulated. The music emanating from this orb is going into the left ear and the right ear, but as I change the size of the space,
Se nota que es un proyecto pequeño de un desarrollador.
you can hear the character of the sounds change.
Pero puede estar interesante.
And if we go around the wall, we can still hear it coming from the opening in each ear.
La típica de tirar la flecha y ver si vuelve a caer. Hay trabajo de física. Hasta parkour.
I actually launched the Shadowglass Discord today, so if you have any ideas or suggestions or just want to follow along, feel free to wishlist Project Shadowglass on Steam.
Bueno,
I hope you enjoyed this.
si le interesa lo puede seguir en Steam.
Thank you so much, all the crew at New Game Plus, for having me. Be well, my friends.
Demo, bueno, más adelante este año.
To start with, prologue go way back, another survival game that we're seeing, and we were talking. It's a bare bones
Bueno,
survival
van a hablar
game
un
where
poquito
there
de
is no
cada juego
common
ahora.
enemy. Your enemy is the elements, where you just have to try and survive and make it to that point. So if you guys don't know Brendan Green, he not only was behind the battle royale mode of H1Z1, which we talked a long time about. He was also the creator of PUBG. So people have a lot of faith in him, and what he calls his 10-year plan. And he talks about his ultimate goal being he wants 1 million players on a server. He wants the internet to be made 3D and for all of us to actually truly be able to play together. Which I know is a crazy transition from us talking about a survival game.
Single-player survival game?
Like we want to cover their survival game because I love survival games, and they're going to be branching out in this game for the next few years until they have multiplayer, until they have weapons, and they have PvE and animals to fight against. But it's also part of a much bigger picture.
Also a story. He mentioned that they will be adding also a story to the
Things
world.
to do, yeah.
Yes.
That's got to be like one of the most ambitious projects out there right now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's crazy to
What's so
think
funny
about.
about him is that he's like, yeah, I want like millions of players to be playing together on like a gigantic map, but you know, not to undersell it.
Shoot for the stars,
Like,
brother. Shoot for the stars.
No one's done that yet. Next game we talked about was Beautiful
Bueno,
Light.
Beautiful Light,
PvP,
complicado competir contra Outriders hoy en día.
6 3-person squads.
Se está cargando hasta Battlefield Outriders, así que imagínate. Si no, será difícil competirle.
Looks like I'm gonna be scared.
It looks very scary.
I mean, I appreciated that it was very immersive. Like he had the sort of Pip-Boy looking thing over there.
Yeah.
And speaking of big words, I actually looked up what that's called. It's called diegetic UI.
Oh, did you say diegetic?
Diegetic.
Thinking the same.
Diegetic. Write that one down.
We're also thinking of that word.
But it's really, really cool in games like this, especially because it's like hyper immersive. Yeah. There's no UI popping up being like, oh, attack incoming. It's just, no, you are in the moment, you're in the game, listen around you, look at the thing on the character itself. I love that.
So you can play as a monster.
Yeah.
Me hubiese gustado un poco más también de este juego, de que mostraran un poco más chat de proximidad y cosas que la gente ahora quiere en los juegos.
I have nothing against controllers, but I believe there's a right time for mouse and keyboard and a right time for keyboards. And he believes that the right time for a controller is when you're playing shooter games. It's obviously better. The mouse and keyboard is better for that. But not for him.
I would edit my own YouTube videos with a controller.
Yeah, he said that earlier.
That's how passionate.
Which is
haciendo publicidad de sus canales.
Yeah, then we have Project Shadow Glass.
Voxel art. I really enjoyed the box.
This is Starhelm Studios.
Y bueno, y Project Shadow Glass, un proyecto pequeñito de una persona que
that AI post, there was like an
siempre
AI post that looked just like it, and then he was
se
like,
felicita que los hagan.
It's not AI.
Una persona han nacido muchos grandes
because he
juegos.
has a YouTube channel where you can actually see kind of behind the scenes. And when that clip of the AI generated art went viral,
Después sí he visto que están subiendo
I was just like, it was a fun side project. And then
algunas notas e interviews de algunos juegos que se pueden ver después.
Well, we talked about
por si les interesa alguno.
Desire for stuff like that, more simplicity,
En el canal del evento los están subiendo.
It feels like the game is still like learning what it wants to be. Like he's working on the graphics, the basics, the music, and as like they have a bow and an arrow, and hopefully as they work on the project, they start feeling what it will grow to be, what kind of game it will develop itself into.
Yeah, my understanding is right now it is just Project Shadow Glass, and it's going to eventually become like a video game, but right now it's just kind of proof of concept that the art works, the crazy math behind it works, and like it can grow to a game, but it's certainly very,
well, I wish him nothing but success.
Yeah, he seems like
because it seems like I just love a good passion project. Yeah. You can tell there's a lot of heart in that.
And I feel like I initially, like everyone else, why I went so viral, I got attached to that same artwork, but then when he further explains and shows you some concepts that you weren't expecting out of a game with that artwork or that design, when he's showing that you said the R6 lean in there. And you,
that threw me off. The little bow behind. I was like, is that a Rainbow Six Siege?
You threw that in there, and then of course they got the wall grapple. And
parecía Rainbow Six Siege y dice, wow, está bien.
I'm definitely.
I remember seeing that.
Tiene trabajo.
I was like, wow, that looks incredible. Like walking up to
Project
the
Shadow Glass. Siguientes 3.
This section we have 3 what I would consider kind of sci-fi games a little bit, but we have Aphelion from Don't Nod, which we have an incredible look behind the scenes of the music with the composer themselves, as well as The Expanse Osiris Reborn from Owlcat, if you're familiar with The Expanse, super exciting, and also Distant Shores, Brittany.
A ver. 3 juegos más. Este ya se ve bien, che.
My name is Amin Bouafa. I'm a film music composer.
Aphelion.
I'm the composer for Aphelion, the video game. I remember having a message from Talal saying that he
no lo conocía.
They are working in a new video game and inviting me to come to the studio and to meet the team. It was very important for me to understand.
Vienen con todo el francés. Me gusta que tengan mucho laburo en el sonido últimamente los juegos.
Models, with stems, with separating the different elements, and at the same time, how could the music, how the structure.
Después de lo de Expedition, hay que mirar con buenos ojos la industria francesa.
The story of Ariane and Thomas, like
aunque parece un juego muy,
both of them. So there is a
como muy personal.
That conveys this emotional relationship.
Esas historias que por ahí
the frozen aspect of the music. I mean,
marcan, digamos, cargan con todo el juego.
Very important first to feel the cold in the music, to feel the wind, to feel the ice. It's an instrument that had been invented by the Bachet brothers in the mid-20th century. For me, it looks like an alien instrument. When you see it, cannot even predict that it's a musical instrument. To play the instrument, you need to get your hands in water and then rub crystal buttons that are in this metal.
Qué laburo de sonido.
Could convey this frozen identity of the score, and at the same time having this magical sense of in the score.
Un órgano, siempre viene bien. Siempre viene bien tener un órgano en un juego. Que te despierte cada tanto.
Also to this planet. It's a huge planet, but I wanted to get this huge instrument and that it could also play very soft. The organ has a lot of sounds. It could be very soft, it could be very aggressive, it could be large, it could be intimate. For me, it's the planet. The planet could be very welcoming and suddenly very, how to say, very dangerous and very sacred at the same time. So I thought that
bueno, recuerden que no estamos apreciando la calidad visual real de los juegos porque esto está en 1080 y con un frame rate muy bajo.
I'm so happy to write the music for Aphelion. It's the first time for me to
Está bueno una nota a un creador de sonido porque nunca se les da mucha importancia en los videojuegos y son por ahí los más importantes, ¿sabes? Aphelion. Habrá que seguirle la pista. Sale este año, no tiene fecha tampoco. Y en todos lados. Siguiente juego. The Expense of Cities Reborn.
Discussions at the early stages of the production, to be honest, whether to go fully class system or something else. And again, we started with sitting down and lining up what are possible ways that the player might perceive the game. The power fantasies, how he can express himself in combat. So he might want to be a sniper, he might want to be a hacker, maybe an engineer, something else. As we designed those playstyles, we thought how to mix it up a bit, how to let player to experiment with what he encounters during the game. So, for example, when he finds a neat shoulder cannon, as we shown in the announcement trailer, even if he's a sniper, he might want to experiment with that. Why not? It fits the universe, it fits the playstyle. He might want to see how it works. And so we decided why not to give him the possibility to do that. That was the idea behind the playstyle. So playstyle is basically the starting preset that kind of gently guides you towards the certain direction of your power fantasy of how you play the game. At some point, the player will need to commit to his choices. So again, it's an important part of the choices system. You know, if you just can switch everything on the fly, that kind of makes your choices less important. So at some point, you need to stick to particular guns, particular gadgets, and you just build around them.
Parece buena una campaña, una historia para un jugador.
But you will need to commit. During the character creation, you will have to choose between three major factions. Your origin, so you will be either Belter or Earther or Martian. Facial customization, appearance, you can choose your body type.
So you will be playing as a Pinkwater mercenary with different type of origin that you would create. You will have your sibling with the same, like, identical one. They will look a little bit different because they're their own person. They have their own personality. These events are set during the first 3 books, I think. You will start on Eris and witness basically the events from a different angle, and this part will be to some degree shown in your character creation.
Every companion should belong somewhere in the universe, and they have their own background, consisting of their faction and their acquaintance. They have some background story, their own struggles. All this stuff will influence how they perceive the situations player encounters. So in every major plot event, they will have their opinions. They might hint you towards some decisions. They might provide you some assistance, or maybe even some crucial contacts to go for help, for advice, for military support. Maybe. Of course, they will have
Me gusta que les han pedido que manden gameplay, no tanto trailer. No les cobran por lo que mandan, así que se pueden extender lo que quieran. Aprender GeoKickly. Sí, una campaña. Me agrada eso.
Yep, some of them will have romances, and you can see on our background companions.
Perfect.
We cannot say who is going to have romance, but there will definitely be romance in our game.
It's a small crew on the small ship. You know, the expanse. It's a universe where
me gustaría saber más de qué va, digamos.
For a very long time.
So, ¿por dónde va la historia?
There is a dynamics in the crew as well. We have a few layers of the combat system. First of all, it's obviously the gunplay. A few classes of weapons that you can use, and mostly you do it from the covers, so it's a cover-based game. And the second layer of the combat system is that's your abilities. That they might be more like offensive ones, maybe something like a grenade or a shoulder cannon, or maybe something more defensive like a shield, or maybe a protective drone. A lot of gadgets that you can choose from depending on your play style. And as Julia mentioned, there are some play styles that are mostly focused on using your gadgets rather than using your weapons. Third layer, but still very important, that's obviously your companions. They have their impact on the combat. They have what we call combat opportunities. That's particular situations when you can order your companion to use an exploit in the arena, in the environment, to gain a certain advantage in combat. We decided against the management, the gameplay part of the survival stuff. So you won't be counting your gallons of reaction mass or how much water you need to recycle before it dries out. Nothing like that. But still,
Parece que pasamos mucho tiempo en la colonia.
It's very dangerous. So in terms of narrative, the survival will be a part of the game. You will have a tremendous enemy. You will have a lot of very dangerous situations that you will have to get out somehow. There will be a lot of survival in terms of your player experience, just not as a particular mechanic. You will be able to fly around the solar system.
Nice.
You will be able to visit various planets.
Alguien estornudó,
we mentioned it before that we have Luna, Mars, Ceres, Io, and some other cool places to visit. And some of those places will be like major social hubs where you can just walk around, meet other people, drink at the bar, shop for better equipment and stuff like that. So you will have plenty of places to go and to visit and to look at.
Creo que por ahí los escenarios están un poco vacíos.
Characters might die because of your choices. Stay tuned for more. We will show more very soon. Have something cooking. I hope you like
tiran la entrevista completa. Siguiente juego. Tiene pinta de estrategia.
Stay alert.
Hey, Aaron, it's Thomas. You know, your brother. You said you would visit me here, but you never did. Look, bygones be bygones. Just find me in the West Zone. I'll be waiting.
Me da muy Portal. Puzzles. Estos juegos me gustan. Oh, man.
Sometimes I dream about what's under the ocean.
Me gusta cuando experimentan con las cosas, las físicas y demás. Mirá lo bien que les fue a Nintendo con Zelda. Mira, Mirror Age. Qué bueno que era Mirror Age. Muy interesante este juego, me llamó la atención. Hasta la velocidad que tiene el parkour, el elemento ese portal. Mucho trabajo en las físicas. Me encantó el juego, me encantó. Creo que de las cosas más frescas que he visto en los últimos 2-3 años. y lo bien que hace que los juegos se muestren, ¿no? Sí, Cristian, muy high life y se siente fresco y buenas. Me encantó el juego, ya lo voy a agregar a... supongo que va a salir en Steam y en todos lados.
It's a wonderful way to be free.
Distance shot. Retained. Bueno, habrá que agregarlo.
My understanding is it's dual
Ahí
protagonist
pasaron
games, so you'll
los
actually be swapping back and forth as they sort of
siguientes
work
tres
together.
juegos.
And I'm sure there's parts where you're separated, parts where maybe you're together, working together.
Very emotional story.
Bueno, hablan un poco de Aphelion.
The dual protagonists seeing it converge in the end.
You know it's going to be an emotional game, especially when they put
Que
so much
estaba bien todo lo musical, pero no sé de qué va.
music is a tool
O sea, más de que un personaje y un
catalyst
planeta.
emotions, so it's definitely something
We were actually talking about that earlier today, music and video, and not just video games, and art in general, and media.
Good music changes
It changes everything.
From a game being a good game to a memorable game, a game that will stick with you in a long time. So.
Well, and Donut has a pretty storied background when it comes to narrative games, whether it's like Life is Strange or like one of my old school favorites, Vampire. Like they try different stuff, weird stuff even sometimes, and so this is exciting to see them doing something
They were
different.
using the super alien music instrument, so...
Yeah. What was it called? Is it
a crystal bachette?
Crystal bachette.
Oh, you're talking about the hand wedding one?
Yeah.
You're really into this hand wedding. That's like the only
I
thing
kind
you
of want
took
to
away.
try it, honestly.
I mean,
how do you discover that technique of like, oh, that makes that, yes.
This is an award-winning composer of the Summit of the Gods as well. So what I find super impressive is just, I feel like people sleep on music so much in games, and then you see behind the scenes of this entire, like, they're in a famous church in Paris.
Estuvo bueno ver
playing
cómo
organ.
hacen, trabajan un poco en la música del juego, pero
Like, video games has some
me hubiese
great
gustado ver más del
Yeah,
juego.
it's one of those things, when it's working, you like a lot of time you don't think about it. When music is really good,
All
in a
you're
game,
thinking
you
about?
don't really think about it. But then when it's exceptional, like an Expedition or like the Witcher vibes, you know, then you really remember it. But a lot of the games you play, you probably don't look up the soundtrack, even though the game is pretty good, you know?
Ironically, my Spotify rap this year was like mostly video game scores. I think there's often correlation though whenever a developer does take the music very seriously in a game. It often reflects.
I'm sure they're taking other parts.
It reflects in every other. I mean, think about it. All the games that have, like, you think about the games with the best scores ever, like you just said, The Witcher 3 or whatever. I mean, it all. it
Se cansaba de escuchar la banda
other
sonora de The
aspect of
Witcher
the game,
3.
they take it seriously. So.
Another sci-fi game that is
The
probably one of the most anticipated
Expanse.
sci-fi games for a very long time.
Me
is
llamó
The
mucho la
Expanse:
atención también.
Osiris Reborn, which is from Owlcat as well. It is a third-person action RPG, obviously set in the Expanse universe.
Me gustó mucho el
And
gameplay.
the show, so they're taking inspiration from both, but at the same time, it doesn't require previous knowledge of either for you to be able to enjoy this. In this game, you're going to be living more or less through what happens in the show. However, from a different perspective, from a different side, with your own group of people, with your own environment, that you got to make your own choices.
I think an important thing to frame all of the Expanse game with is that coming from Owlcat, they are a studio that did like Rogue Trader, for example. Their bread and butter is intense, gritty narratives with unbelievable levels of roleplay depth and choice and consequence.
Me gustó el combate también,
complex systems that
muy,
interweave. And so seeing them go
digamos,
into
guiar,
this, which
aunque
is of
dice
course
que
a
es un RPG,
third-person
así que iría un poco más por el lado de...
many RPG mechanics.
de
It's a
¿cómo que
different
se
road.
llama?
I
Me
asked
olvidé
him
de
about
Mass
that
Effect.
in our interview and was like,
Más o menos
how did this
Mass
happen? Because typically they do sort of an
Me gusta
isometric
The
thing.
Expanse.
And they just said when we decided we wanted to tackle the
Como digo,
Expanse,
me siguen faltando fechas que digan, no sé, sale este
required
año.
that cinematic flair, and that's
Sale
what they
tal
tackled,
fecha.
and they're doing a phenomenal job.
Supongo
That, and the
que
game looks
muchos de
beautiful.
estos estarán
It
más
looks
adelante en el
very
año en otros
interesting. It
eventos.
looks kind of like Dead Space meets Gears of War,
It's
kind
more
of
like Mass
gameplay-wise. It
Effect.
did. Or, yeah, Mass Effect as well.
The
Mass
choice
Effect.
and the reputation you have with your companions will change because your companions, they told us, will disagree with some of the stuff you do. They'll get upset or
They will have
pissed
their own
about it.
opinions.
They'll have their own opinions, and they also, one interesting tidbit they mentioned was that when you are making choices in the game, they're not necessarily going to tell you if that was a big moment, if that, what you just said to them is going to seriously affect this thing over here. It will, but that's all behind the scenes.
Their game was Distant Shore, Brittany. This is what went viral as almost a portal with magnets.
Y bueno, y Distant Shores, para mí es el mejor de los tres.
Being big time.
You know, it's one of those games like you didn't know you wanted, but then you see it. You're like,
Y la mayor sorpresa hasta
yeah,
like we've seen versions of it before, but with everything it combines, because it makes everyone think of a different game when you see it. Because we've heard Half-Life, we've heard Portal. I thought of Only Up during some parts of it.
Yeah, I had Only Up.
And other
puzzle Mirror's Edge a little bit with like the
parkouring. Portal, Mirror's Edge, parece que estamos, parece que yo ahí sentado.
Just watching some of that gameplay.
El mismo comentario.
Oh yeah, the boss.
Oh yeah,
not happening.
Well, and I think it's also really cool that they have boss mechanics, because like you can tell it started with the idea of using magnets to like manipulate the environment, but then they're like, okay, well, we could raise the stakes, take it up a notch with these boss fights that are organic in the space. And
it also mixes up because it's not just a puzzle game, so there is more to it and more that you.
Yeah, there's a world that he even showed as well.
It's more than just a puzzle game, like there's a narrative behind it.
Exactly. Like they could have just stopped with a puzzle game. I think a lot of people would have been perfectly happy with that. But then they go and build on that with a story, boss fights, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, if it's not just reach a destination or do a final thing, but it's actually a narrative, like you said, that's really cool.
I think it's one to keep an eye on. Yeah.
Los siguientes tres. Ah, no, son dos esta vez.
Next up, we have two
una actualización de About y Grounded.
Updates for Avowed as well as Grounded 2. We also got exclusive time with them and had some interviews, which
con esto serían 11 en total ya, de los 45.
Avowed is a Obsidian first-person action RPG set in the world of Pillars of Eternity.
About me pareció bonito juego. No lo terminé, pero jugué todo el pro, jugué como 5 horas y me parecía que estaba bien.
Chaos, and you play as the,
lo dejé porque apareció otra cosa en ese momento.
What's kind of going on?
Pero algún día lo terminaré.
Affected in positive ways, negative ways, or in between type of ways. You know, with that type of choice and consequence. In terms of the post-launch things we've been supporting on it, like we've gotten a bunch of abilities added to the Ranger and Fighter trees to kind of more fill it out comparatively to the wizard tree. Aspects about it that are like arachnophobia mode, that was like a big community requested feature, as well as changes to progression, improvements there.
Y Obsidian tiene una muy buena comunidad que sigue sus juegos.
And you can play now.
Durante los años sacan dos o tres al año. El año pasado sacaron dos.
Amowin, Orleans, and
tres juegos
are now playable.
About
a lot of
Grounded
decisions we make are revolving around the player community, so we work
el último que ya no me acuerdo.
Community management team. We get like a spreadsheet, kind of see what the things that are bubbling to the top. Like an example, like quarterstaff.
Son los que más laburan en Microsoft.
Wanted to feel like more like a wizard, right? That kind of wizardy vibe, as well as playing as Orleans. Like I think players just were bummed that we didn't include that in the base game. So I mean, it really comes down to like the time and what the community wants, and that's kind of how we decide to go about it. Yeah.
We notice like players really role play their characters in the game, so we always want to give them as many options as we can to like customize their features or character, to kind of have this fantasy in this world as they journey through the story. We just wanted to give them as many possible options as they can to really make the character they want to make, and just make it just their own. Stuff like all the playable races, we discussed it early on in Avowed. It's something both previous Pillars games had. It's a lot of work and a difficult thing to really nail down, especially in Avowed with its parkour systems and its combat mechanics and all the weapon types and stuff like that in the game. Our different races are different sizes, they're different shapes. They're a very unique game experience when you play as each one of them in a first-person game specifically. So it was something like new to Wrangle for Avowed. We had no time to finish it as we're making Avowed, and now we can give it to the players, so it's a more rounded experience compared to the original Pillars games. It should be a whole new way to play the game. If you pick an Orlin or an Amawa, it makes you feel completely different in the world, especially if you use third person or first person.
Hasta ahora me está gustando bastante el eventito que están haciendo los streamers.
So it's pretty awesome.
He conseguido muchos juegos, la verdad. Pensé que iba a ser un evento de esos que tienen puros juegos indies, pero muchas editoras se han copado en la idea.
OP basically, but you'll have the end game gear with all its like enchants to be able to just start the new game, as well as we have like modifiers on enemies that kind of either make them more resistant to some of the elemental types, or modifiers that make them more resistant to being stun locked or hit reacted. And that kind of gets sprinkled in kind of somewhat randomly throughout that New Game Plus experience to kind of get that added challenge, but also let the player still feel somewhat like they're accumulating their abilities over the course of multiple playthroughs. So.
We notice players like to take photos of their envoys, but it's very difficult in the game. You have to get the camera just right to get a certain distance from the character, or capture the shot in the conversation when you see your character. So this allows you to really get into it and capture some awesome shots or some scary shots.
We're super excited to announce that Avowed's finally going to come out to PS5. Pre-orders are going to be live today. Keep an eye out on our socials, and we'll announce when the store page is open.
Vamos un poco de Grounded.
Grounded 2 is a survival game. It is set in a gigantic city park. You play as a teenager who has been shrunken to roughly the size of an ant. And you just have to survive in this environment with, insects that are the size of a bus, and figuring out how to eat and get some water and fight those bugs and craft new materials and new weapons. As you go and gain in power and get over those initial survival challenges, you can sort of get into the story of what has really happened in this park. A number of huge updates planned for the park. This is the first big content update that we have. We've been calling it the winter update. It's really about adding in this next big chunk to the park, and that comes with a lot of things that are very, very exciting for us. With this winter update, which is the community garden, is attached right to that early picnic area. On the map, it's just to the east of it, behind the gigantic statue of Tully and Burgle. This was our opportunity to really start delving into a brand new biome with everything that entailed. You've got a vegetable garden, you've got a greenhouse, and you've got a pumpkin patch. All of these introduce a lot of new and different types of artwork and places for the player to explore. And then, of course, we need all the insects that go in these areas too. And so a ton of new insects that are in there. As I like to say, all of these insects, you can attack them. Many of them are aggressive and will attack you. And regardless, you fight them, learn their tactics, and then eventually turn them into fashionable attire and new weapons.
Going to a new biome, a new area in the park, allows us to fully lean into what makes the park unique from the backyard. And for us, that means that mixture of really organic structures as well as that man-made touch, that this was designed by humans at human level.
Wasps are coming back, which are a lot of fun to fight, but can be kind of annoying. Again, this is a survival game, so excited about those things coming back. Black ants are also coming back too, and like with both of those, you get sets of armor and different weapons that you can craft after you've defeated these creatures. We're more excited about the new creatures that are coming in the garden update.
Nuevas criaturas, nuevos peligros,
brand new
grillos.
The cricket is pretty big. Again, this is the size of a large bus probably. It has some very unique attack combinations.
Nada revolucionario, digamos. Pero estarán contentos los jugadores del juego.
Armor sets. It has its own weapon or weapons that you can craft based upon it. And then the same thing for earwig. You actually have two different types of earwig. There's sort of a ranged earwig and a melee earwig that tend to travel around together to thwart the player with their strategic opportunities. Again, you can turn those into armor, of course, turn them into your base furnishings. You can turn them into weapons. And we think they'll offer some exciting and unique combat opportunities.
We really want Grounded 1 players to be excited to see these creatures again, but also to be surprised and delighted by the changes. You know, just like
está trabajando con Eidos Montreal. Bueno, yo sí veo
even looking at the old legacy creatures, okay, how do we make them
yo creo que Xbox lo debería haber comprado. Sí han trabajado en varios juegos.
How can we leverage our systems to make them more interesting? And so hopefully there's a couple of twists coming, even with the old favorites, that will keep veteran players on their toes and will surprise and delight new players.
We have a brand new buggy, the Ladybug buggy, which you'll be able to get and raise and hatch and then ride around in the yard. And we're pretty excited about all that stuff. Like, I think all of it is coming together just really well.
I think every single Grounded player from Grounded 1 at some point jumped on the Ladybug and let it transport them around, and we often joke that that was the original buggy prototype. And there's something so iconic about the Ladybug and getting on it and wanting to ride it that it felt like an inevitability for us. But what's important for us whenever we do introduce a new buggy is we don't want it to just be another one or just a horse, you know? And so it really boiled down to what can the Lady Buggy bring to the table that the other ones weren't? What can make her stand apart and bring a utility and an experience to the player that the other buggies aren't? How can we carve out her own little niche in the game? She's the tank. She's, you know, the one who can get into those really tough fights and withstand those large swarms of insects. And that's where the idea of the water cannon on her back, and you know, players being able to shoot at their enemies, and that ended up, you know, providing a ton of gameplay opportunities and a really unique experience. Being able to shoot down the aerial insects that are often a bit more challenging and a bit more frustrating for players. Well, now you have this, you know, ranged weapon that you can take them down with that feels super satisfying, almost like an anti-air gun. For us, as soon as we crack that, it felt like, okay, there she is. That's her niche. And now it's just about bringing that experience to life and finding moments in the garden experience to really highlight that and let that shine for the player.
Bueno, muy bien.
So we saw Avowed, great interview that you did over there. We see
Para
now
hablar
that
un
we have New
poquito
Game Plus
de
coming.
los juegos.
There's a photo mode, new weapon type, changing appearance.
Va bien el evento.
Character presets. You got new races with
Y todavía quedan muchos juegos por ver.
Yeah, they're doing a lot, and I mean the game, of course, launched earlier this year. Obsidian's been very busy, yeah, and they're doing these free updates now, and so they also are adding New Game Plus, which adds a whole new reason for you to go back through the game. So the game is coming to PS5.
Yay! We got another one.
We got
the platinum trophy was insane.
Here we go.
Otro más para PlayStation.
Yeah, but it's coming, and it's available for pre-order as of this show going live. So right now, so check it out. And when I talked to them, they were saying how important the community is to them, how they've listened to a lot of their feedback, like adding arachnophobia mode on Grounded.
I was gonna say, Luke, if I'm scared of spiders, what do I do?
Yeah, there's arachnophobia mode. But they, like, that's kind of their driving force, is looking at the community, what the community is saying, communicating. They're like, hey, we'd like more species and more customization options in Character Builder. Okay, we'll do that. And it's just really nice to see them do that. They could put it in a paid package, but they're not. They're just, you know, it's a labor of love, and that's...
I really like how, as you're going to New Game Plus, you can also change your character's appearance. So you keep some of your skills and stuff, but if you are tired of how your character looks or you want to do something new, try a different race, you can do that by just going to New Game Plus. You don't need to go back to the beginning.
Besides that, we also had Grounded 2, which is bringing the Garden of Brook Hollow Park that is now going to be open. So it's a new biome, they have new creatures, new tools, a new mushroom brick material that you can build more stuff with, and also a new ladybug buggy.
A lady buggy.
For those of you watching, it's a play on word.
Allow me to explain.
Ladybug-y, because you can mount it and ride it like a buggy.
Yeah, and speaking to listening community, they also take a lot of feedback. This is a game that launched back into early access back in July, and so this is a major winter update is what they're calling it, and it was heavily requested to have more types of transport, which they are still planning more for the future that people can be excited about, but they always listen to feedback about, you know, should an insect be an enemy? Should an insect be what they call, you know, is it docile or docile? I'm from Iowa.
Whatever you prefer.
Yeah. Different insects can be friendly, some can be enemies, and then of course they can also treat them now as transport as well.
You looked at Luke when you asked.
Well, I'm not looking at you. And so with this update, they're doing this throughout a lot of the timeline. And like they're gonna give you a lot of these big updates, and you're gonna be kind of surprised of like when it first released early access, there was still plenty to do. It was a survival game, but if you were a fan of Grounded, the original, you knew they were still gonna have a great winter update for you like this. And so they have a lot on their roadmap, but because of the way the game is scaled down, you know, it's from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, like the way it's scaled down, they have so much they still want to do and will be doing for a long, long time.
Well, and that cricket,
the cricket thing looks
that
terrifying.
It turns around and like
you're like, wait, what's he doing? What's he doing?
Spreading. I gotta give them credit. Like Obsidian's been so crazy busy. Like the fact that you can put out 2 pretty sizable games in 1 year. And a bunch of updates for it.
And it seemed like they were cooking something huge, right? Because
yeah, they just had Tim Kaine come back out of retirement. He's one of the creators of Fallout back in the day, and he
didn't he also was some of the original creators of Vampire Bloodlines?
I think he did.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
He's kind of a legend of the industry. He in 2020 went and started doing consulting work with Obsidian, but he was, in his words, semi-retired. But he's actually gone back to Obsidian to work full-time in office, moved to the studio on some project that's unannounced, and he said, "Don't bother guessing. You will not guess it." So. New IP, something crazy, who knows? But they are.
Or he's trying to throw us off.
It's hard to not see like hope, at least for Fallout stuff, because you know the TV show being excellent and everyone itching for more Fallout. So.
Bueno, tenemos 3 más.
Next up, we have 3 fantasy RPG games that are looking very cool, as I would say. This is going to be Outward 2 from Nine Dots Studio, a follow-up to their other survival game, Outward, obviously. We have Varen's Call by Titan Rock, and then we also have Dragon Twin by Draconic Interactive.
A ver.
Outward is an open world RPG, which for once
no lo ubico al primero, pero
superhero or the last child from a prophecy. You're just a dude.
Veamos qué preparan para la
secuela. The reason why we are downscaling who the player is because they want to be immersed more than they want to be powerful, and that was the big change in our approach. And we made all of our design decisions to be in alignment with this vision. If you were just a regular person and you wanted to think like a human would, but in a fantasy world, it's when you are aloof, when you're just like, that's not so dangerous, I've done it before, and that's when life just snaps back at you, right? In real life, that's like that. It should be like that in the design as well. So one gigantic thing is the character creation. In Outward 1, like, we had very ugly protagonists and we didn't have a lot of options. You know, you had like 3 skin colors, a handful of faces.
Sí, como que no haría mucho esa creación de personajes.
It feels like really drawing yourself into an RPG. You choose a background, you choose traits, you have a very granular system to modify and customize your character to your liking. One of the big thing is you choose one of 3 starting locations. So as a regular person, what justifies throwing yourself into danger? How do you become an adventurer? Well, we have 3 different quests, depending on which city you choose. So if you are in Simeon's Bastion, you are a homeless person, you're desperate. In Tramontane, you are a miner and you're trying to like improve your status and your quality of life. In Habub, you are
un poco
vacío. What could possibly go wrong? You know, and very mundane situations, like you're not special or anything, but something special happens to you, and then you have to live up to the situation. We want a weather system that is very dynamic. So now we have a year-long calendar with seasons, and you just go through all that. So it's going to be winter, and then it's spring, and then summer, and does change like what kind of stuff can be found, what kind of armor you need to wear. Dual wielding is gigantic, so now you can combine anything that goes in one hand, and that opens up a lot of possibilities. In Outward 1, like, you had your offhand, you could only have a set amount of things, and you had your main hand. Now you can just interchange. You can have 2 shields if you want. It sucks, I don't recommend, but you can. Of course, like just visually, and the fact that it's much more lush, it's more filled, it's more visually vibrant, that's going to be something that people will notice very quickly. Just like in Auto 1, we have 8 skill trees, and all those skill trees have some exclusive skills. So if you take one, you can't take the other, and you have a maximum of 3 breakthrough points. So there's only 3 skill trees that you can learn from to the maximum of the capabilities. Otherwise, you have like the first few layers of skills available. One thing we added are the attribute points, the core stats, so strength, agility, constitution, willpower, intelligence. We added those. We're gonna track a lot of different things that you do. They're all gonna have like different thresholds. So let's say you dodge attacks successfully a certain number of times, you unlock a node that will give you a passive trait and increase your agility. So very small incremental changes. We start with very simple things, and it expands us in more and more circles. So you won't be able from the very start to unlock all 3 skill trees just because you have the cash to do it. You will have to have experience. You will need to have practiced the life of danger in Ori to be able to understand, like get to the next level of the skill trees. Other than that, well, I think it's important to note that all 4 regions are new regions, so it's really just completely new environment to explore.
Bueno, ahí va Outward 2, que no me interesó, la verdad. No me llamó la atención.
Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into our upcoming action RPG, Varen's Call. The world of Leda is entirely shrouded by darkness on one side, while scorched by endless sun on the other. These incredibly hostile areas are known as the Forsaken Realms, which, as you may have noticed, is the name of the universe we are meticulously crafting. Your first steps within the Forsaken Realms will take you to the Vale of Varen, a city on the brink of collapse, and the first of our narrative-focused adventures. You'll step into the boots of a lone mercenary, seeking to answer Varen's call for aid, and maybe earn some gold and glory along the way. It's clear that Varen needs a hero, and every hero needs a way to slay the countless fantastical beasts they'll encounter. Varen's Call aims to cater to a wide range of playstyles, offering you the freedom to combat the unknown in a variety of ways. Whether you prefer to be a nimble-footed archer, flinging fireballs between arrows, or face your foes toe-to-toe as an axe-wielding whirlwind of death, the game's classless system means you're never locked into playing a specific way. You have the ability to adapt, alter, or completely switch playstyles midway through your adventure. Unlock and spend perk points to obtain new skills and abilities, and level up your mercenary's core stats by gaining character experience. Hidden chests throughout the world will reward you with a range of weapons, armor, and unique trinkets, some providing unique effects to help you gain an edge in your next combat encounter. The local hamlet of South Vale acts as a hub, a safe space that provides various amenities for you to further develop your character. Use the forge to upgrade the weapons and armor you find throughout the world, and the dismantling bench to deconstruct items for materials. The spell crafting table can be used to increase the power of your magic. Everything from an area of effect freeze attack that stops the enemy in their tracks, to ripping up the ground from underneath their feet with destructive force.
Lo que mejor tiene son los diseños de los poderes.
To upgrade and unlock new traps and gadgets.
Las animaciones de los poderes, eso está bueno.
Allowing you the opportunity to catch your enemies off guard. And finally, the Alchemy Cauldron. This can be used to custom brew a multitude of mixtures, from replenishing health and restoring stamina, to curing yourself of nasty status effects. These concoctions are sure to aid you on your journey. Okay, great. So you've equipped that shiny new helmet, purchased that slightly overpriced magic spell you always had your eyes on, and upgraded that new Polybuster barrel to the volatile variant that has even more boom. You're ready to get back into the fight, but maybe you want a change of pace. Yes, you're supposed to be the hero and save the city, but heroes need breaks too. Besides, there's a whole world to explore, and quirky characters from all walks of life need your help with their problems.
Espero que compense mucho con la historia, que sea una buena historia. Por ahí los puntos flacos los puede paliar con eso.
A local peacekeeper catch the criminal behind the death of her beloved friend. Or maybe you're on a mission to rid Varen of the Gnomi scourge that plagues the city. All because a crazy guy
Harto de reventar ñomos en juegos.
called you a hero?
I know the truth!
Maybe we should stick to the main task at hand after all. Varen's Call is soon to release on PC with full controller support, with the aim of releasing on consoles at a later date.
Bueno, primero
Our
para
game is
PC.
inspired by classics like Fable and the Elder Scrolls, so if this sounds like your kind of adventure, consider heading over to Steam and adding it to your wishlist to stay up to date with us. Until then, we'll see you guys very soon.
Tiene mejor pinta que el anterior, así que bueno, Varen's Call. Puede estar bien. Siguiente juego. Dragon's Prime. ¿Quién habrá querido manejar un dragón así en los juegos? Acá no quiso hablar nadie, te escribieron todo ahí. Bueno, hay una demo para los Patreon. Está interesante la idea de centrarse en el dragón. Pero bueno, parece que es un proyecto más que otra cosa completada por ahora. Oh, editor de dragón. Vamos a estar todos en Juego de Tronos. Puede estar bien, no sé, que para que salga. Por ahora no siquiera es un juego, digamos, es más una demo que...
First question I had was, how hard is this game going to be?
Because the most
common question about the original Outward was, okay, this
is
like,
esta tanda no me pareció interesante casi ninguno. Bueno, el segundo podría salvar un poquito, pero... Y el de Dragón, si consiguen hacer un juego.
I'm glad.
Deserved.
But it's actually amazing. Like, I actually really enjoyed it because exploring this game felt very rewarding, and there's like a camping system, so you can camp like right outside like the enemy zone, and then you prepare like your weapons and everything to wreck the enemy, because if you don't prepare, oh, you're in trouble.
It's known to be a very, very hardcore survival, and when I was talking to Guillaume, he was like, if you die, it is likely your fault. And we all heard him say, like, it's not hard, but it is demanding, and they always at all times want to live up to those words, which is really awesome. And they will have a pack mule, which he said, of course, shocker, can die if you don't take care of it.
Of course.
But it's, one of the big struggles was with inventory and spacing along other struggles that players had.
No sé si habría que comentar tanto de Oddworld 2, que se ve como
you can't dilly-dally
un jueguito muy
You have to
pequeño.
really know what you're going to do, and
Y que quiere abarcar
mucho.
mucho.
Things. But another big one was dual wielding, so you can dual wield, he says, anything in the game. You can even double shield it up, which he says is not recommended.
You can attack with the shield, it's super cool.
He really loves to stress all of these niche things. Like, you can sprain your ankle, you can perforate a lung.
Trauma.
She has clearly sprained it. You can sprain her.
I also got brain damage.
You can have a concussion, and it will all impact you, and all of these ailments like take different lengths of time to recover from.
I got a concussion in game as well. It was really tough.
As well?
What were you doing out of game?
It was kind, no, it was just kind of like a play on, because whenever I told people I got a concussion, brain damaging in game. A lot of people in my chat was like in game.
Sounds like the most hardcore of hardcore.
Yeah.
Survivals.
It was really fun, and you can also play with friends, and then things become a lot more bearable.
They've showed the split screen.
Yeah, so you can play split screen with your friends, and it's really nice. Especially because then, like, you get beaten up, and then your friends get beaten up. So, and then you know,
can get digital concussions together.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Forsaken Realms, Baron's Call. We were all sitting here saying it looks incredible.
It looks sick.
Most importantly, controller support. I can play that one.
I was trying to put my finger on what like the vibe was, and at the very end of the trailer, they say inspired by games like Fable. They really struck an interesting vibe. It seems like it's got a lot of soul and heart in it.
Bueno, sí, el más interesante de los tres.
Something I noticed right there. That flute, there's something about a flute. When a flute starts playing,
when the flute
fantasy game, dude.
When the flute started playing, he was like, oh my god,
I'm ready to go to war.
No, the game looks really nice. It looks very well detailed, and I can't wait to try it.
They angled it that like, hey, you can do this thing. You can really focus on combat and the main quest line, the main story, but this is also an expansive world where there are a bunch of little side stories where you can go to these individual side characters and like help them catch their chicken.
Yeah,
or murder mystery or whatever it is. And I feel like that's what builds out a world and makes it feel more full. So I think it looks great. Third, we had Dragon Twin. I don't.
Y Dragon Twin. Bueno, lo de ese dragón está muy interesante, pero.
Make your own dragon. There's a
Hay que hacer un juego atrás de eso, muchachos. Si no, es al pedo.
Customizer? I mean, like Jake was like.
To be fair, is very early in production. They're working on all these systems for Dragonflight, and as they mentioned in the trailer, it's still a work in progress. They're like finding the game and what it's going to be based on funding, Patreon support, things like that. But I mean, just like imagining the vision of a kingdom builder where like you're in command of dragons like Khaleesi, like inject that into my veins. It's another one of those games I didn't know I needed or wanted, but
never even came across your mind. You're like, wait a second.
So you see it and you're like, of course.
Of course I need that.
I can't wait to see how it progresses because it already looks amazing.
But they left the combat pretty open-ended. Like we saw some battle scenes.
No había tanto para hablar, muchachos.
Dragons maybe fighting and how that's going to
Es
come
un
into play.
jueguito a medio cocinar todavía.
It's so cinematic. The cinematic shots you're going to get with that dragon is going to be crazy.
Next up, we have some exclusive content coming from Mundfish, a comparison of the twins from Atomic Heart. Now in the Cube, a very exciting game I think we're all looking forward to. And for Atomic Heart, some new screenshots from their DLC number 4. On top of that, there is also Immortal Gates of Pyre that we had an incredible interview with that Jake hosted, where we talk a little bit about the making of the game, people behind it, and RTS in general.
A ver, le tengo unas ganas de Cube. Se veía bien en la... Qué juegazo Atomic Heart. Bueno, el DLC, el último DLC. Si pueden, jueguenlo. Muy buen juego.
Is it recording?
Yeah, it is.
It's in the sky.
Este sí es The Cube.
I can still barely believe it myself. When it showed up, I was in the lab.
Me gusta mucho el mundo que han creado.
You know, I felt that same fear, though. A terrible sense of my own powerlessness. How did the whole of humanity miss it? And Did we actually miss it? What if the cube didn't appear but revealed itself? What if it was always there and we've only just started to see it?
Y conociendo, habiendo jugado a Top Hat, los enemigos van a ser una locura. Pensé que veríamos un poco más gameplay, algo, pero bueno, me sigue interesando mucho.
So Immortal Gates of Fire is an attempt to modernize and make more accessible the RTS genre while simultaneously keeping all of the complexity and the opportunities for mastery that have made RTS so popular over the years. So it's I would refer to it as a Blizzard-style RTS, the fast action, big battles, very tactical, kind of very rapid-fire chess. We realized that RTS, in part because it was dominated by a few big players, never really went through the kind of indie transformational experimentation. Some of the companies that tried to do so did so by stripping away features or losing some of the things that really made RTS great. In the early days, we surveyed a lot of players in both MOBA and RTS communities and found that they really loved the fantasy of commanding an army. RTS, at the end of the day, if you were to strip it all away, is just you're commanding an army, another guy's commanding an army in real time. Yeah. Right? Because you get individual unit control, it can be very overwhelming. And because you're also building those units, because you're building a base, because you're having to do so much macroing along with the microing simultaneously, that for most players, it just gets overwhelming and complicated. And so we worked through it kind of line by line, trying to figure out what are the road tasks, what are the things that players are required to do that are not really decisions.
Hay algo que te trae de que cuando jugas,
right? And how do we make more and more of the complexity in the game, but optional, opt-in. We refer to it as opt-in complexity. And then simultaneously, how do we create a world and experiences and game modes that people want to be a part of? We want to take this genre and show people this genre isn't dead. People want this fantasy, they want this experience. A lot of it has to do with things like the UI and the UX, the unit design, and a lot of that opt-in complexity. So for example, in most RTSs, you always have to be building workers. If you're not building workers, you're falling behind on your economy and you're screwed. The correct move, with very few exceptions, is to build a worker every chance you get. So we made that automated, but have a toggle. If you want to turn it off, you can. So if you're trying to do a specific timing attack, you can, but we took that complexity away. One of the other things is how in MOBAs you have a unified command card, right? All of the abilities and castable abilities on your hero are easy to reach. You can hit all of those buttons very quickly on one hand. We redesigned the UI UX to be the same way. So you can select your whole army with one button by default, and then all of the abilities,
un poco caótico el tamaño de los enemigos y la lentitud con la que atacan.
One of the things that people often tell us is that when they watch our game, it looks like an RTS, but when they play it, it almost plays more like a MOBA in terms of how they're commanding their army. Our early idea was if we bring the top, 10 modders within generally the strategy gaming space, if we bring them all together and we say, if we were to come together and build a game that truly is the next generation of RTS, what does it look like? And that's what we set out to do. The 1v1 or 2v2 PvP experiences, they're similar to a StarCraft or a StarCraft 2. Maps, we did redesign the maps and we redesigned the mechanics in a way that 2v2 is actually really, really fun. It's a core support gameplay mode. and players, including pro players, have actually really enjoyed doing 2v2 tournaments. But the ultimate goal is to destroy the enemy's town centers, and so it's kind of a tactical back and forth with counters, and strategic snipings, and using immortal abilities in clever ways. So it's great for mastery and laddering and skill game. Ultimately, or at least the goal, is to have other PvP modes that are more casual or more playful, kind of some chaos modes, auto battler modes, things like that, where if you just have 10 minutes and you want to have a beer while doing it, and you want to do something that's a bit strategic, but you don't want to get that sweaty, we want to have those experiences too. That's a big part of the target market that we're looking at, is people that like to be challenged mentally, but don't necessarily want to try to do the crazy APM and don't want to get too invested in the competition. We want to do a full grand campaign. The inspiration for how we kind of want, or how we see the ideal campaign, if we can build it, is very similar to Dark Crusade. It's a grand campaign. You can be kind of any of these different factions and conquering territory and building new and unique stories.
Bueno, pasó Immortal, Case of Fire.
One of the better trailers that I think we all saw back around SGF last year.
Not a new trailer that we're showing.
Vamos a ganar tiempo.
Of course, the twin comparison is new, which is very cool to see the twins for the first time in this universe. If you like Atomic Heart, but the trailer itself for the cube, so unique.
The potential for that game is like unmatched. It is crazy.
They're so good at cinematics and also just like the concept,
the project, and so I hope we see it in the near future.
3 juegos más. X-Killer, Far West y
Next up we have what I'm calling kind of a western section. We have some new footage from the game X-Killer. That's going to be Paradark Studio. There is Far West from Evil Raptor and Erosion from Plot Twist.
Welcome to the world of X-Killer. We are Kasia and Amadeus, the creators of the game.
And this is gameplay overview. X-Killer is a first-person action-adventure game that encourages exploration, rewards curiosity,
and never holds your hand.
You play as Denzel Phoenix, an X-Killer, a corporate bounty hunter.
X-Killers hunt down fugitives and reclaim souls from those who try to escape the system.
One of the game's main hubs is the Tower, a massive fortress city ruled by the Helion Corporation. This is where you accept contracts, upgrade your gear, and prepare for missions.
Retrofuturismo.
Contract fulfilled.
The game is structured in chapters, and almost everyone begins and ends in the tower.
Outside the tower lies a harsh, scorched desert. You travel through it in a heavily modified car designed to protect you from extreme conditions such as heat and radiation. Inside the vehicle, you have access to your computer, storage, and a working radio.
Buen tiro. Oh, me gusta cuando tiene la mecánica de deslizarse. algo de western. Esa era la mezcla de ambientaciones, digamos, conceptos. Algo futurista, western.
Survival is a core part of the experience.
Inventory space is limited, and every item matters, forcing players to make careful decisions about what to carry and what to leave behind.
Helion's high-tech systems allow you to hack devices, pick locks, and access restricted areas.
Your cybernetic implants help you uncover hidden elements and investigate the environment.
missions and level design are fully non-linear. There's no single way to complete a contract. Stealth, dialogue, and combat are all valid approaches.
Tiene sigilo. Está bastante bien estructurado este juego, me gusta.
What's it gonna be? Plata or muerte?
Mexicano, no podía faltar. Con ese filtro del juego, ya tiene el filtro mexicano. Executor. Bueno.
Hi everyone, Robert here from Fireshine Games. I am the Senior Product Manager for Far Far West, developed by the incredible 6-person team at Evil Raptor. Far Far West is a 1-to-4 player co-op PvE first-person shooter where you play as robot cowboys in a weird western world. Work together to kill bosses, collect bounties, and cleanse the lands of the evil enemy invaders. Today, I'm going to talk you through a short, single-round session of Far Far West. Here, we're exploring the Far Far West an evolving space where you can upgrade your weapons, spells, and character. Once the team is geared up and ready to go, we can pick the bounty we want to hunt and drop into the game.
Mira, hasta ahora tiene las fichas de convertirse en esos juegos virales.
Now that we have dropped into the map, it is time to head to our first objective. We can travel around the map much faster with the use of our trusty horses, which you can summon with the press of a button. When fighting enemies, I can use different firearms and a variety of spells to do damage or heal myself and teammates.
Uno de los tantas copias de Left 4 Dead, pero más divertido.
Guns can also be comboed together to make their effects more powerful, spread their damage
la movilidad está muy
buena. Create new spells.
Está bien. Me gustan los juegos rápidos.
To summon this boss, we need to do the obvious. Launch a nuke at its nest. So let's get this rocket loaded with explosives and shoot it into the sky. When playing co-op, you have to work together as a team to complete the objectives and defend yourself from enemy attacks. Right now, we're throwing sticks of dynamite to my teammate for him to put in the rocket, of which he is actually only carrying. While carrying out objectives, you will attract the attention of the enemy hordes, who will try and stop you.
Ya me imagino jugando con gente, los gritos.
Now we have the rocket all powered up. Let's launch it at the boss nest to really make it angry. This bounty is far from over. Now we have to take the beast down. Let's summon the boss and get this party started. We won and the boss is dead, but we aren't safe yet. So let's get to the station to get the last train out of town. When the train is called, we have to stay alive for its arrival, which is easier said than done when the whole of the Far West wants you dead. We made it out alive. Well, some of us. Which means we get to keep the resources we found along the way. These will allow us to upgrade our characters even more and be stronger for the next bounty. This is just one simple game of Far Far West. There are multiple bosses, maps, objectives, weapons, spells, upgrades, and cosmetics, all unlockable through play. You can play the playtest with your friends right now.
Ya se puede jugar. Ya lo vamos a... Ya va a tener prueba. Vamos a tener prueba.
As a parent, you've got one job. Protect your family. Whatever happens, you do it or die trying. But even if you kick the bucket, you don't stay dead for long.
Este me gustaba mucho el estilo visual. Ya lo había visto en otro evento, pero no con gameplay, siempre muestran un trailer. Otra vez y otra vez. Tiene muchas cosas para hacer, por lo que sé. Me gusta mucho esto, me llama también mucha atención. Erosión. Ah, también tiene playtest.
First up, we saw X Killer. That's coming from Paradox Studio. It's kind of, I mean, the vibes look great to me. It was reminding me a little bit, you disagreed, but like a cyberpunk in the wild.
No, I just see it.
It went the ending, but I imagine that most other endings are not going to be so happy, or at least a bit sadder.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, exciting.
It looks really good. We're going to see a lot from that game.
For sure.
The Division 2, Alpha Respawn, Last Man Setting.
Next up, we have a very exciting section for people who like competitive games, shooter games. We have an awesome interview that Jake did with the executive producer of the Division franchise. We also have Alpha Response, a game coming from the original creator of Counter-Strike, Min Lee, or Gooseman, whatever you know him as. Last Man Sitting from Pixel Pizza, and Sand Raiders of Sophie by Holygriff.
¿Qué le van a agregar a The Division 2? Que lo tengo ahí, no he jugado prácticamente nada. Lo compré, típico juego que compras en Steam y queda ahí.
A real world location. The most important city in the United States, Washington D.C., completely ravaged by a pandemic and
pero pasa que para mí se veía mejor el 1 que el 2.
Strongest, worst blizzard of all time. And you are going to have to survive and extract the most valuable resources. And of course, that leads us to survivors. So what are we doing? Like, we can't rest on our laurels, our 10-year-old laurels from survival. So we're reimagining it. We're bringing this snowstorm, this weather
del 1. Me acuerdo del gameplay falopa del 1. ¿Cómo me lo vendieron? Después no podía ni mover la puerta.
We're thinking about it in a very different way, with innovations that haven't been seen yet. There's a focus on this to make it such a different feeling experience from the core Division 2 experience. I think we've got something super, super promising here. Survivors is developed with Magnus Jensen, who is the original Division 1 creative director. So this is a guy who
nos van a devolver a
Division. He's
the Division 1 de la ciudad.
Excited about jumping into
el nuevo DLC.
This type of game mode again. And there is a hint in the title of something that we're going to be doing really differently from everybody else. We always develop with a player in mind, with player types in mind. And I think here we have to acknowledge that the Division 2 has a large player base of passionate gamers. And one of the things that we want to do is
lo que tendría que haber hecho Ubisoft con este es aprovechar la zona oscura para crear algo como Ark Riders, porque ya lo tenían, no sé por qué nunca se avivaron con él. De hacer un buen extraction con eso. La zona oscura de Division 1 era muy buena.
And change the map and make sure that the has an impact on you, which it doesn't have in Division 2. So there are
ese miedo a tomar
riesgos
después sale caro.
Our core audience. Veteran players, they're going to be surprised. All of these locations that they know by heart, they're going to be transformed. So the Division 3 is in production, right? This is
the Division 3 está en producción.
Announced. It's shaping up to be a monster. I can't really say anything more than that, but this is within these rules in Massive. We're working extremely hard on something that I think will be as big an impact as Division 1 was. There's a team in Paris working on this, and they're putting the final touches on a mobile execution of the promise of Division 1. So, Division 1, New York, pandemic strikes, take back New York. This is a brand new story with mechanics
el juego de
that
teléfono.
are
Pensé que lo habían cancelado.
fine-tuned to a mobile phone. Graphically, this
Hoy
looks
en
like
día
a
los
PS2.
juegos de teléfono pueden
You may have seen
verse bastante bien, como lo estamos viendo.
it looks phenomenal, really, really good. It plays really good, and it has a few
Y puede funcionar bien
innovations. You
en
know, the
teléfono.
dark zone. This area
Obviamente
of
tiene que ser free to play porque si lo
PvP.
intentan
It
vender
was an area
va a fracasar.
where, much like other games today, popular games today, you could walk around, you could hear gunshots, go over there, there'd be another agent. You'd approach cautiously, feel each other out, and decide whether to partner or to actually engage in PvP. The whole of the Resurgence map is friendly to other agents. So you'll hear gunshots on a corner. You won't need to be in the dark zone. It could be anywhere, and you can group with those people. So PvP is off by default, but being able to group up and to see other agents in the streets, that's never been done in a Division game before, let alone a mobile game.
Nos anunciaron 3 cosas. Nuevas cosas para Division 2, el juego móvil y The Division 3. Por lo menos lo nombraron. ¿Y este juego de Play 2? Hablando de juegos de aquella época, ojalá sea como este que había que rescatar a algún rehén. Era buenísimo ese juego. Pero no, parece un shooter. Escolta al VIP, dice, así que. Ay, qué caótico todo, ¿no? El VIP se mueve como una tortuga. ¿Por qué explotaba? Era un tanque de nafta el enemigo. Todo explota, todo explota. La dirigió Marquez Vega, el sonido de las armas es horrible. Dios, parecen latas más que balas, boludo. No se le están pegando una olla, boludo. El cacerolazo del juego. Alfa Respawn, sí, deja paso. No me interesa. ¿Y es? El juego meme. Pero se ve gracioso. Mejor que el anterior. Last one. No. Escriban bien, con una letra legible, muchachos. Está divertido, me gusta. Lo probaría.
Last Man Sitting is a game where you blast through the environment mounted on an office chair. So you're always on an office chair. And you also have a freaking gun. So movement-wise, it sort of feels a bit like you're skating, but it's also most
muy original la idea.
You guys also described the game as a battle royale. So is it Does it lean BR? Is it more shooter? Is it a mix of both? How's that go?
So many years ago, during early like prototypes of the game, it was a battle royale game, and it sort of went viral and got like a lot of followings based on some short videos of the game. But then as we developed the game more, we found that we wanted to gravitate away from that a bit. So we saw some limitations with the battle royale game. Eventually the game became more like a four-player chaotic PvP shooter, more like a shooter version of Super Smash Bros, which is one of our favorite games at the office. There's like different maps, there's different modes also. We worked on the PvP mode. We also made a PvE mode, which is more like maybe best compared to Swarm survival games. So it's more like a lightly narrated story where you go up against your manager and you like go up in the floors of an office building. You have to survive for a certain amount of time. There's more and more enemies coming that become more numerous and more ridiculous as time goes by. There's mini bosses, there's main bosses, and you level up, you get power-ups. And this is where like you can get even more power-ups when playing the PvE game mode. So that's when it gets really ridiculous.
Bueno, como dice Battle Royale, se va cerrando la zona.
New weapons, new characters, new abilities. You can upgrade your chair, so you can.
That was one of my questions. So
we looked a lot at this like early 2000s aesthetic.
Igual están repitiendo el gameplay como no había más gameplay. Era eso, ¿no?
We felt like, you know, what if the whole user interface just felt like Windows Millennium Edition or Windows XP, and you have that those little square windows, and you have the font that we all remember. So eventually the game sort of became more of this like 2000s nostalgia type game. We also have a lot of like Counter-Strike players at the office. So that's definitely something that I think has had its imprint on the game as well. Imagine it's 2002 and you're listening to punk music and you're playing on your Windows XP computer. That's sort of the feeling that we want the game to have.
Last Man City. Bueno. Ojalá hagan una prueba pronto. ¿Y esto? Unas bases. En vez de barcos, bases gigantes en arena. Sun, Riders of Sophie. Sale en marzo. PlayStation y PC.
I say first up, we're going to talk about the Division interview. Of course, we weren't able to get a ton of new information, but they're working on a lot of different projects right now.
I don't know if I've ever talked to anyone else who has 26 years at a single company in gaming. So talking to him, he was... I was doing a bit of glazing because everything he said felt like a storytelling experience, and so we're talking about survival.
Explode people's bases, or I'm curious. We didn't see in the trailer. I'm curious if you can raid other people's bases.
Pretty sure ya
es la última adelantada que puedo hacer, creo.
Pero bueno, pretty sure you can take other people's
ya nos pusimos al acorde a la transmisión oficial. 3 juegos más.
Next up, we have a section that a couple of us are definitely going to be very excited about. This is the 25th year that Jagex has been making RuneScape at this point, which is extremely impressive. I know Jake and I have been playing it our entire lives. We've got old school RuneScape, we've got RuneScape 3, and we have Dragon Wilds.
The Trinity!
Right, so 3 games, massive games that have been around for a
No me
long time.
apuré
I've
más.
heard of.
I think we should just give the room to Jake.
I love it here. This is
the
my
bathroom real quick.
This is my favorite part for all you RuneScape fans.
When we all arrived here, the first thing I saw was Jake on his laptop and RuneScape was pulled up next to Twitter.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Did you see how Hunter has like a side monitor? Just
He does this.
Really? I didn't know that. That's These guys are real fans, though.
Yeah.
I'm north of 1800 now.
I'm over 2100.
I knew that's why I didn't want to answer, because I knew you were gonna lead into it. Anyway, Jagex has given us a variety of exclusives across all 3 games. We're super happy to talk about it.
They've done a lot of very impressive things over the past year, I would say. They did Varlamore with Jake's favorite, the Gemstone Crab, just AFK there. It's awesome. Has the Delve with Doom. They have the Grandmaster this year, which is super fun. I played that one. They also added Sailing most recently, which is the first new skill ever in old school RuneScape. Had a lot of back and forth. My favorite part about it is the fact that they listened with the release of it. The exclusive they gave us was this new logo reveal for the next league season. So that was League 6 Demonic Packs. We don't know much more past that. Obviously, Leagues is a lot of fun, and probably the most engaging time periods of RuneScape. I think you see player peaks every time.
Sí, el que le
interesaba a lot of those players are going to come back and be a part of that. Outside of that, RuneScape 3 was also in the news a lot this year.
For a variety of reasons. One of the biggest ones being they've removed the biggest monetization.
Bueno, están hablando de algunos jueguitos parece fuera de
was
los
widely
anuncios
talked
como
about and
para
has been
ir
for
acelerando eso.
probably next to a decade. You know, obviously in the MMO genre, you have to make money to sustain such big games and big servers for a reason and to keep these updates coming. They're not small teams. And so it was that community battle of like, we need monetization, but at what point is it too much monetization? And they finally reached that breaking point.
I think we also have some reveals of some of the areas they're revamping, which is very cool. They're trying to declutter the entire world, because right now the game, if you, as an old school player, log on, you're probably like, what is going on? Most of the time. So that's very cool. They also gave us the image of their anniversary cape, which looks fire.
Isn't that beautiful? And I actually have one behind me.
This is Jake's Avengers Endgame.
Oh, man.
And then finally, we also had Dragon Wilds, which is a game that we are very excited about.
Another incredible game.
We are big fans of those types of games. Valheim, we spent a ton of time on. So when RuneScape announced this, we were super stoked personally and played it. They're in early access, but they talk a lot about their 1.0 release and everything that's coming.
For those unaware, Dragon Wilds is the survival game inspired by RuneScape. And so being a big survival game guy and my love for RuneScape, it was kind of the mixing of both worlds. So Dragon Wilds was always going to be a big thing for me. And as you said, it is early access, still developing. They are aiming for that full release though. It's still a great game and getting better and better.
If you like games like Valheim or Enshrouded, I would say this is the kind of game
100%.
You would like to play, because it's just like that. You can spend a ton of time building your house and making it better and better. And then they're also adding iconic RuneScape things. Again, we talked about that with like the cube. It's cool to see a world you already love in another format.
The fresh twist.
Yeah. They already have released their roadmap, but we have a lot of cool stuff that is coming to the game that RuneScape players will recognize. New skills come out at each time. So fishing, prayer, agility. You're going to get mithril armor, rune armor coming out. There's 3 new regions next year coming with the 1.0 update, like over time. And then we got the first look at Dowden Reach, which is their next region. You're going to recognize these Black Knights, which look a lot scarier than from RuneScape. If this is the Black Knight's fortress, it looks absolutely incredible.
Incredible.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Right.
I don't know if I'm going to continue after this segment.
You guys have heard me and Jake talk way too much about this. We also have a message from a couple of creators that you might recognize from the RuneScape community.
RuneScape and Jagex has just turned 25 years old. And the recent year has actually been incredible. And what is to come over the course of 2026 and beyond is something that, as a player myself of RuneScape for 23 years, I am so excited. I think the game right now, old school RuneScape, is in the best place it's ever been. But Jagex as a company is turning into potentially being the point the best they have ever actually been. In 2025, over old school RuneScape, we didn't just have many different pieces of content such as sailing, Balamar, Royal Titans, a duo boss that came to the game. We actually also hit an all-time high player count since the game actually released over a decade ago. That is crazy. It's absolutely incredible. But that is not the end. We still have 2026 to come, and the things that are coming in 2026 are going to be crazy. We have the Blood Moon Rises. We'll be getting more info at the Winter Summit. The finale, potentially, of the Mauritania questline. Personally, the thing that I am the second most excited for, behind Raids 4. Now, Raids 4, I know nothing about right now, so I can't really say much, but that is the thing I am the most excited for and have been the most excited for.
Bueno, eso no sé tampoco.
As of right now. And if that is not everything, we have Leagues 6. And I know one thing about League 6, and that is League 6, Demonic Pacts. All I can say. That's all I know right now. But League 6 will be coming most likely in Q4 of 2026. Can't fact check that. I do not know. But that means League 6 may contain Blood Moon Rises and Raids 4 inside of whatever League 6 is going to be, and that is going to be incredible. As for RuneScape 3, I'm not a huge player or ambassador of RuneScape 3. I am more on the old school side, but there is a massive update that occurred earlier on that I was able to get behind, and so did all of the old school RuneScape community.
Estaba medio abandonado, no sé si tiene jugadores todavía en Steam. Arrancó fuerte, pero se pinchó.
Called Treasure Hunter. And finally, RuneScape Dragon Wilds. I played it when it first came out with Ashenvale, I believe it was called. And in the most recent expansion, Fell Hollow, I recently have played that one as well, and I have completed it. And Dragon Wilds is a game where it's not even fully released. But when I say that, 2026, Dragon Wilds will be fully released to everybody, completely done. You can play it now. You will only just get the first 2 expansions. And the first 2 expansions as a standalone game is incredible. I cannot wait to see the expansion to the entire thing when we get the entire world, the entire universe of what's going on there. So far, the gameplay is incredible. Whoever's working behind that team, honestly, I feel Dragon Wilds, when it's released later this year, I don't know when, again, it's going to be a masterpiece when it's fully done, when you can start a new character, go through Ashenvale, go through Fell Hollow, and then go through the next 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, whatever level of different realms there's going to be. But you can still play it now, early, and you can play the expansions as they release. Right now, we have Ashenvale, we have Fell Hollow, and we will be getting another expansion fairly soon into 2026, and that will be the release of the Mithril skill. Honestly, Jagex, 25-year anniversary, the game, the company, everything, it's looking good, and I'm very, very excited for the future.
And if you guys haven't yet, make sure to go play RuneScape, one of the greatest games of all time.
Otra tanda.
Next up, we have a group of 4 games, that being Darklight Survivor coming from Mirai & Co., Tape 101 coming from Serversa, and Unawake from Reality Art Studio, Nested Lands from 1M Bits Horde.
No se ve mal medio genericón por ahí, pero los enemigos se ven bien. Parece un juego de teléfono a veces por parte. Parece que es matar y matar nomás. Las mecánicas, o sea, los mecánicas shooter, eso está bastante bien, pero los enemigos estéticamente se ven bien, pero son muy duros. Dark Light Survivor. Bueno. Tienen tiempo para mejorar porque no tiene fecha.
Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
You smell like shite.
No, ese sigilo. No quedó nada la aldea.
Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
Missile Jet Dance. Enero 23. Y ahora 2 semanas. Un juego de terror. Se ve bastante realista por parte. Tape 101. Hay una demo. Para el que le gustan los juegos de terror.
Eternity, I struggle to become an aspect of courage, freedom, and honor. So much for the glory of angels. Let it in. Let it burn your flesh. Let it burn your soul.
Un Doom con espadas, parece. Ahí dash, parry. Un awake. Se ve interesante. Realistic art.
First up, we saw Darklight Survivor. Maybe one of the games we've seen that kind of blew our mind a little bit. You had top down, you had third person, and something
bueno, nos ponemos
else.
al día entonces.
Who really like their builds of things and like, okay, how can I specialize in this?
Están hablando de
I'm doing this
awake.
all day. Just
Did you know that
Do that for me one more time. Just show me the
and then the double sword grab they were doing. And the fact it's moddable, I would love to see the direction that goes.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much potential. You could have modders come in, do additional levels, boss fights, romance, unironically. You could add that if you wanted. Like, lots of potential.
I think the world is too dark for that stuff.
Well, with that attitude, yeah.
Yeah,
maybe with romance.
una vez me dio muy doom.
A mod could brighten the world up a little bit.
Siguiente tanda.
Next up, we have a very exciting
Warhammer.
segment where we actually got to sit down with the executive producer over all of the Warhammer 40K series, as I understand it, Anatoly Shestov.
Hay tantos Warhammer 40,000.
By enemies from within. By enemies from without. By enemies from beyond.
Dark.
Imagine you're playing inside Warhammer universe by the guys who can't use the army, who need to find this particular person in charge of bad things to make Imperium stand for one more day before grumbling to dust. That's basically how I would describe it. Just imagine the true Warhammerish stories where no choices are good, but you don't have an option to go away. You need to get your hands dirty, and it's just a matter of how precisely you will achieve this. One of the most significant changes that any player would experience compared to the Rogue Trader would be more stakes, more value in a surrounding, in any environment that you're playing with. The covers, the line of sights, we read how they are calculated, how they are working, and how much benefit they providing to the party. So it's basically
No sé qué rama es de los Warhammer, por eso no.
We abandon the step up mechanics.
No todos
so
son
if
buenos
you're
tampoco,
ending your
así que
turn
habrá que ver qué
behind
tal.
some wall, you are behind some wall.
Este tiene, no sé si es algo parecido a un XCOM.
You that allows you to step up of this cover and to shoot at anything. If you so the place where you start your turn, the place where you're ending your turn would be more significant. Other thing is role-playing model. There are way more roles being made inside the combat. Lots of the things making you roll something, lots of the things make your opponents roll something.
Parece un juego
so
así por turnos, tipo
skill or
XCOM.
ballistic skill. It's way more significant influence of the role-playing choices that you've made previously. Almost all of the combats in the game will have alternative ways to finish them, not just killing all of your enemies. We are allowing player to target specific parts of the body of the enemies, and by doing this we're allowing to make your opponent lose an option to move or lose the option to use abilities. There are different ways how you can tactically approach your desire, your design of how to proceed with the combat. And of course there is a whole new subsystem that came on a change of the momentum. This is a morale system. Momentum was a party based, and you spend it to activate some heroic moments of your companions. For the Dark Heresy, we feel it need to be more intimate, more personal, and not just for your party. We are not just telling a story through the environment or the words of in a dialogue. No, we're actually making cases. We're actually making the culprits. We're actually collecting and interpreting evidence and discussing them with your retinue and analyzing them and making conclusions. There are some other mighty forces inside the scintilla because you're not playing in a vacuum and you need to struggle for power, but most of the time you are playing as a person in charge, as a person that have authority, and the person who needs to make hard choices. One of the most significant ways of the influence of a story
Hacía falta un interview de este juego.
Your decision of which case is more important. For example, there is a under Spire slums, and this is a toxic waste. and the level of the toxic sea is growing. And if you are going there as a first place, there will be toxic waste somewhere nearby, and there will be people getting ready to be consumed by the toxic waste. But if you are going there late stage, there will be actual toxic sea, and you will be playing around it. There will be changes in the geometry, and changes in the combat encounters of how they are playing, changes in the narrative behind this, and changing based on the timings, how you decide how you approach this.
Para los fanáticos de Warhammer. Y bueno, tenemos más Warhammer.
All must be cleansed in his name.
Is there anything you can tell us about like new factions, new notable characters, or iconic Warhammer 40k lore?
There would be Treason, I don't know, most iconic thing that you can potentially name and encounter as a rogue trader, as a Treason. It would be some interesting takes on Astra Militarum. I won't share specifics not to spoil the fun, but it would be there. And there would be some brand new systems, like augments ones. You will be able to replace some parts of your body with interesting pieces of Imperium technology. There would be some elaboration on a story of the world behind the main road of the Inquisitor Calcasar's shenanigans. Let's say it like this. It would be some interesting dive on a past of the von Valancius dynasty, even further than Theodora. There would be some new takes on how dangerous wildlife can be. Other thing that definitely we will provide for the player is some vaults, the Treason vaults.
Me gusta cuando se tiran mucho en estos interviews porque tampoco es que muestran mucho más.
Of course, this is a rogue trader story, and
no me cuentes lo que tengo que jugar porque si no me gusta.
So there would be some.
No me gusta y ya, no importa lo que digas.
Of the void ship, some new places to visit, some old places to revisit. It would be new companion with a whole set of unique mechanics inside it. It would be the general system of augmentations provided to the players. So if you always wanted to replace the limbs of the Heinrichs with some like pretty adamant ones, you will have such an option. Not just Iron Hands from the Biomancy, but the real Iron Hands. Yes, that's an option. It's the first DLC that allows us to expand
es un DLC para un juego anterior que tampoco lo tenía en cuenta, la verdad.
And expand it not
no, Warhammer son tantos juegos que me pierdo.
In a 100% of the different aspects of the game.
Let's first talk about the DLC for Rogue Trader.
Pasamos a la siguiente.
To interrupt you. Can you tell people generally, basic bitches like Jake, can you explain Warhammer 40k as general? Like what's the playthrough about?
We actually asked Anatoly to describe all of this for people not familiar with Warhammer, and this is how he described it.
Imagine you're playing inside Warhammer universe.
Ya pensé que ya había terminado. Seguía hablando, tipo.
Use the army to need to find this particular person in charge of bad things to make Imperium stand for one more day before grumbling to dust. That's basically how I would describe it.
There's a new companion, and there's also, this companion has unique mechanics, and
they're also doing things like new environments. They're revisiting previous environments and then overhauling them. They're altering and
yo digo, si hacen una interview para contarme el juego con el desarrollador, ¿por qué después tengo que volver a escuchar lo mismo de la opinión de ellos? Eso es redundante y deberían haberlo pensado mejor, porque esto se vuelve largo y no aporta nada más de lo que ya vimos. A mí no me cambia la vida que ella me diga que se veía muy emocionado el desarrollador.
Dark even at times, but To be clear, Dark Heresy is not. It's not like a sequel to Rogue Trader. It's
Yes,
a separate
it's a
system.
separate.
It works different mechanically. There's different things going on, but my understanding, and speaking with Anatoly, was that it's going to be a very narrative focus.
Eso
that's the primary
lo
concern.
diagramaron un poco mal, me
focus,
parece.
but that's where a lot of the effort is going with the voiced cast throughout the entire thing and many other aspects of it. The narrative is like the central component.
One of the things that I really enjoyed that he mentioned was you can target enemies' specific body parts to sever them during fight.
That was the coolest part that I'd seen.
So it's really nice because if they have like a they're very fast, so you want to target their legs to cripple them and so on. Not only that, but you know how sometimes you get into a very awkward situation where you're crushing the combat, and there is still that one guy that, in spite of all his friends being dead in the battlefield, he's still trying his. That's not going to be really a thing. Enemies can surrender. They can run away. They can try to sometimes maybe even negotiate their way out of this, and it's up to you to decide what happens to them.
Yeah, hearing all those combat options was the coolest thing to hear him talk about. Like, you can render your opponent useless in whatever different limb you want to actually target, but you can also make them blind. There's so many different unique features to the combat where even when I was listening to him talk about it, I was like, okay, wow, I've never played a game like this, but it sounds really intriguing.
Yeah, and it was just interesting to see Anatoly describe how the team wanted to revisit some of those things that are
llevan más de 30, así que no queda mucho.
The concept of just an enemy, well, you fight until all the enemies are dead, and that's it. But the team went back and was like, that doesn't like necessarily make sense. Like, sometimes the guy would be like, you just blew his head off, you just exploded that guy.
Yeah,
I'm covered in John, you know, like, I'm gonna run away now.
Yes,
and that just makes sense.
I love that description he gave. Yeah, I love that one.
It's lovely.
So, question for the group that I want to spin off of this. How do you play these games? Like, okay, now we know this critical system, you could blow their arm off, you can maim them, and they will surrender, maybe.
We know how she's gonna play it.
So the choice, like...
Make it as miserable as possible.
Let me take one arm, and then feed him that arm while I take off the other arm.
Demasiadas opiniones para tan poco...
I think he understands me. There are some things that are really exciting about this game, and I cannot wait to try it. So I hope you guys are as excited as I am for this one.
And I can't stress enough, Owlcat Games, they know what they're doing when it comes to CRPGs. Like, they are not to be messed with. They know what they're doing, and I think this is one to keep an eye on for sure.
Bien, siguiente tanda.
Next up, a few games that I would consider kind of couch co-op games that I would have fun sitting and playing with people, like at a party or with my family. This is going to be Towerborn, coming from Stoic and Xbox Game Studios. We have Sprint City from Double Dutch Games. These are the creators of Speedrunner, and Dinch Attack, coming from Undercoders.
Towerborn, me parece, sí.
I would describe this as
Creo que estaba en Early Access y creo que ahora
this is an awesome entry into the brawler space.
sale su versión completa porque creo que está en Game Pass.
So I have a lot of brain space and like I want to make really cool builds. A little less so in like how do I actually dodge and get out of things and find my openings. Early on, I was able to kind of compensate for that by finding nice little gear and little pieces to put together to eventually build my brawler skill set. And I find myself kind of going back and forth as we play test between like, oh, I'm finding something that's a little difficult here. Well, what can I do with my gear set in order to tweak things, or like, is there different skills that I should pick up for this particular encounter, and then be able to go dive right back in. The player is an ace, which is a deathless defender of humanity, which is currently sequestered away on the Belfry, which is McLaren's background over there. It's a tower that was set up for mysterious purposes, but turned out to be a pretty good haven for folks after the fall of their stronghold, the City of Numbers. The player is helping humanity as they can, getting refugees to safety, battling the beastkin that have risen and have become incredibly aggressive, while ultimately attempting to find out why did Numbers fall and what conspiracy is still brewing there.
We wanted players to experience a brawler-type combat inside
sé lo que intenta hacer,
RPG gear sort of system, and so we've spent a lot of time over the last 6 months or so taking a ton of feedback from our players to really kind of hone that particular system. So players should be able to come in, pick one of the 4 classes that we have. They'll see a whole new set of skills. They'll find a whole bunch of new equipment. And the idea should be that they should feel like one of several heroes going in and just beating up a bunch of like awesome monsters. We've tried to add new enemies, new lieutenants, and new bosses. I think people are gonna feel like quite the adventure as they go into the updated version of Towerborn. Stoic has always tried to be player first. When we decided to do early access for Towerborn, a lot of that was born out of we had a vision of trying to evolve the brawler into something bigger, something that hadn't really been done before. You can see other games have taken different routes. You know, some have taken kind of the roguelite route, some stayed into the traditional. We wanted to kind of expand it to more like the true action RPG. And in order to do that, early access was very, very important to figure out what was going to work and what wasn't. Simultaneously, we didn't want to be caught in early access limbo, right? Like, I'm sure this is the kind of things that you would love to talk about. I love to talk about them too. For 7 years. Our intent and purpose was we need to come out of early access solid. And there is a certain point where you just collect everything. Most of the feedback that's coming in either kind of falls into an existing category. Hey, a lot of people have said this thing, you know, maybe you might get something new, but you look at it and you're like, yes, it's new, but it's not reaching the, you know, kind of urgency that some of these other things are. We have a good list of things now. This is kind of what the players have told us. We need to really deliver on that. And the best way we can deliver on that is just, you know, put your head down, focus, and create an experience that I believe is worthy of coming out of early access, that people should look at that and say like, oh, okay, I see why you did it. Absolutely was worth it. I can see a clear night and day difference between what is in live right now and what I am receiving when you go into the 1.0.
One of the big pieces was, big fans of certain pieces of actual gear that you would earn through the game. But there was no cosmetic version of that. And so you had to make the choice of like, do I want to look good? Or do I want to look a little janky but more powerful? And so we added the ability to be able to create a cosmetic version of the gear that you earn through writs, which are earned through completing adventures.
And so the idea initially with Towerborn was we just want to make a fun beat 'em up with a light story in the background. We weren't really going to lean into kind of the stoic narrative strength that we have, and we just kind of wanted to take a bit of a breather. And we had expected, perhaps incorrectly, that
ya entendemos, un juego que ha salido, no puedes tomarte 40 minutos de un evento para contarnos un juego que ya salió.
We actually really want
que le guste, vaya, o sea, al que quiera va y lo prueba.
More clearly leading us through, and so
no necesito que el desarrollador me diga
a very significant amount of time and resource to put a narrative from the jump. And so there's an arc now. There's a primary antagonist. You will understand that antagonist. You will confront that antagonist, and there will be resolution. And so there's probably a 12 to 20-ish
bueno, febrero 26 sale la versión completa en Xbox, PlayStation y Steam.
Players can look forward to and feel like there's a resolution to the Towerborn.
Siguiente. ¿Un colectivo? Un tren.
Hello, we're Undercoders, and in the studio based in Barcelona. Recently, we've been focused on developing 3D platformers, but our studio is heavily influenced by arcade classics, Japanese culture, and extreme sports games. And Dense Attack is our dream project, a step forward for the studio combining everything we love. In Dem's Attack, you'll discover a not-so-distant future Japan in which local railways have been abandoned and are now used by underground gangs to compete in illegal contests of train acrobatics. You'll have to rack up points by chaining tricks, explore huge levels, race against rival crews, and uncover a wild story as you travel through Japan, taking the railways back.
En español y en inglés no sé.
We are making a game that is not just about what you do, but how you do it. It's expressive, stylish, and totally up to you. From our first trips in the late 90s, we've been obsessed by traveling across Japan by train and being able to dive into the local culture, getting to know the architecture, the landscapes, the folklore, and we're always captivated by the sheer contrast of their peaceful countryside and the high energy of its huge cities, which somehow feels connected and part of the same cultural rhythm. It's a never-ending source of inspiration that has been fueling our creative energy throughout all the years and has now materialized in Denshi Attack.
Habrá que verlo qué tal funciona.
On your adventure, you'll find a variety of challenges to move forward.
A ver si hay algo
From
de
trip arenas to compete for high scores, to objective-based exploration levels, and even racing circuits.
The world is packed with a bunch of unique characters from different gangs and personalities that you will have to face on your journey through Japan. And with every new challenge, you will grow as a Denshi attacker and further add to the chaos. We've handcrafted every stage from the ground up, pulling from real-world locations to make every landscape different but recognizable. You'll go really fast, but if you look closely, you'll catch references to every corner of Japanese culture.
You'll be fighting wild boss battles against gang leaders, which will test everything that you've learned. These are always full of surprises. You'll never know what secret technique your rival hides, so you'll have to get creative to overcome them with your train. They're a mix of spectacle, personality, and challenge that one could expect for an anime-style showdown mid-game.
Ser un tren ya tiene toda la personalidad.
Is a love letter to anime, skate games, and Japan's iconic train system. If you like Jet Set Radio, Tony Hawk, or Densha to Go,
Eso
you
tiene
can't
mucho
miss
de
this train.
Jet Set Radio.
Pun intended.
Wishlist now. We can't wait to show you more.
Mira, llega Go Series.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Denshi Attack. It's the best game in the world. See us.
Hello, we're Undercoders. Hello, hello. Wishlist now. Wishlist now. We can share. Wishlist now. We can't wait to show you more.
Siguiente juego. Comprarse una copia y tenés acceso a invitar a 8 amigos. Tal. Así Ronald. Spring City 1-2026, no tiene fecha exacta. Bueno.
I talked to McLaren and Shayna, and they were awesome and very chatty about their game.
Van a hablar una hora de Tower que ya hablaron una hora antes.
They focus more on the RPG side of things, but technically speaking, looter, brawler, side scroller, like you said, meant to be
like Castle Crashers.
Yeah, that is definitely the most common comparison they get. But along those lines of couch co-op, you want to play with a buddy or play with whoever's next to you, and they are actually an early access game now going to full release. So this is their big update to justify the full release, but it was already definitely justified. Upon full release, we're looking at 170 plus missions. What they say is probably around 20 plus hours of content, and they also want to focus on these builds, which lead to ultimate replayability. So there's also a difficulty bar they're going to be adding to all of this. They have a level that is going to be called, I believe, Brutal. And from what I'm being told, it will be extremely difficult, but the game is meant to be replayed plenty with you focusing on what builds you actually want as you play through it all.
There's definitely a huge market for co-op couch gaming right now in a world of like online multiplayer. I feel like that's kind of a lost art. You saw successive games like Split Fiction, stuff like that. So.
For those of you who are lonely without friends, I relate to you. I actually played this game by myself every time I have played it, and I still had a blast.
And for those who haven't checked out the original, with this big update though, Also introducing a new biome. You have new bosses. The enemies you fight against have new styles of combat. So they are really introducing a full-fledged game that was already pretty fleshed out to begin with, but they're wanting people to be like, okay, this is technically a new game. So for those who are expected to stumble across this, you are getting a brand new side scroller with so much replayability.
And it's another situation where they took a ton of feedback from early access.
Yes, heavily community focused. Again, we've said it many a times. A lot of these devs know how to listen to feedback because those are their diehards, and they have definitely done that.
Next up, we had Dinch Attack.
I like Train. I love these. You tried to steal it from me, but I was taking that.
I love these guys.
Who doesn't like trains?
I love these guys.
This is my favorite Japan-inspired game ever.
I had seen this game before, but I didn't really understand what it was. But now I understand what it is, the inspirations. Like, it makes sense. As weird as it is to say that an acrobatic train game makes sense to me, it makes sense now.
Yeah, because we were talking, what, like Temple...
That is a game for the new generation.
Like,
yes.
Temple Runner X... Yeah. Like TikTok.
Yeah, you see it's under a Joe Rogan clip on TikTok, like to keep people's attention.
But in the best of way, because also I love doing this kind of format because you see a different side of those devs. Like they went out of their way to send us that stuff, and we get to see a different side of them, and to see and connect to the faces behind it and see their enthusiasm.
They're so fun.
Yeah.
How could they not make a fun game?
Yeah.
It's impossible.
The boss, the mecha train
thing. The mecha train boss is sick.
When I heard there's going to be a boss fight in the train acrobatics game, I was like,
at first glance, you're like, what is this? And then you realize you see more of it.
I can't wait to know the storyline.
Exactly. So it seems fun and engaging, and then there's like, oh, there's a story behind this.
And there's real bosses and real inspirations. Like
Dash
they
Attack.
show you
Se
what
llama
has actually inspired them
Attack.
to make this
El del
Japanese
tren.
style game.
Yes.
Lovely. Train out of 10.
Creo que vaya bien porque es un juego fácil.
Sprint City, that is coming from Double Dutch.
Sprint City, bueno, no vimos nada.
Which is another very popular, couch game that people have played for a very long time. They have speedrunners 2 already coming out, but this is a whole different game, but from the same creators.
This looks like a game that, in a good way, would really piss me off to lose to other people.
It looks like a game that would ruin friendships.
It looks like one of those side scrollers that I would fall so far behind where you can't even see the others, and it just kind of leaves you real upset.
The first jump, and you're like, I'm gonna get it.
Turn the console off.
Get a bigger TV so I can see where they're at.
To me, Sprint City is the game that you are over at like a party. It's like the Super Smash Bros. Effect.
Yes.
It's like we played a round of pong or something. Now we want to play a video game together. We're gonna go play this, and people are gonna get pissed. And Jake and Rob are gonna get in a fist fight probably. And like,
he doesn't want that.
And who do you think's gonna win that fist fight?
We already had this.
Who do you think would win that? Just look at the size of the feet. Pretty close, aren't? Yeah.
Did you guys ever play Overcooked with your families?
I did not, but I've watched people, and I've seen it ruin relationships. I feel like
it can. It's the ultimate test of communication. In this case, my understanding is the game is much more competitive, where you're playing against your friends, not really working together. But these types of games,
it's momentum based. It's Sprint City literally, and like speedrunners, and so I feel like it's one of those games that's also probably very satisfying to be good at. And to be like,
once it clicks,
but you can't be too good.
Once you're hitting all the
but you can't
places.
be too good, or your friends won't play with you.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing.
Siguiente tanda.
Okay, now we have a set of beautiful games, in my opinion. This is going to be Eternal Life of Goldman from We Appy Studio and THQ Nordic. We have Dust Fade from Weird Beluga in Fireshine, and another Fireshine game with Pugstorm called Core Keeper.
Ay, qué buen estilo visual. Bueno, me refiero un poco a Cuphead, pero...
What do you mean he smashed?
What do you think? He fell from a great height.
Yeah, but he couldn't have... did he really die?
I imagine he was crushed to a pulp. Do you think they'll ever find his body?
Mom!
Okay. I was just making sure you were paying attention.
Se pasaba de todo, ¿no? No, pero qué bien que se ve. Goldman. La eterna vida de Goldman. Switch, PC, Xbox y PlayStation 5. Habrá que seguirlo. No, juego cooperativo, quizás. Keeper.
Do you want to die?
Really?
Bueno, no me está convenciendo, hijo. No me está atrayendo tu juego.
You can't turn back time, my star. It'll be different, but you'll both be okay.
No, la verdad es que no me llama nada la atención. O sea, es como algo muy trillado ya. Dusk Fate.
First, we had Eternal Life of Goldman that we just watched that trailer.
It looks so good.
The Eternal Life of Goldman se ve muy bien.
It looks like those classic.
It looks so good.
Classic animation.
It gives me also Cuphead too.
Cuphead, it's like Cuphead, Hollow Knight.
Yeah. Oh, and so they've had a previous trailer that was very unsettling because the narrative, the narration went from like comforting,
happy, and then it got really
to like dark and scary. This one, it was much more.
I missed the murder vibes.
But like it works. I'm so excited. I think it looks so good.
It's gonna be emotional. It seems like an emotional game that like people are gonna get tied to. Like you said, Hollow Knight. What was it? Celeste, sort of, maybe a little bit. I mean, Game of the Year? I don't know.
Whoa.
As people like to say.
Game of the Year? No sé.
Yeah, they have a free demo launching in February, actually.
Ah, febrero sale demo.
I love the narration.
De Goldman.
I can't wait to see more behind it.
Like we touched on, I think it's one of those games that people will play because it's like a challenging platformer, side-scrolling type game, and then you're gonna be sobbing by the end of it.
Yeah, it just seems very like they tell you just enough to pique your interest. They don't tell you much in the trailer,
and then they're gonna emotionally destroy.
Yeah, and it seems very dark, and you're like, well,
and hopefully set you up perfect for a sequel.
Yeah. Oh, you never know.
Hand painted. as well, hand drawn.
I don't even know how you do that though. Like, how do you hand draw a game? That's crazy.
See, hopefully next year we have
people more talented than us. This is why we're sitting here. And
I'm like, where are the frames at? What do you?
That's one of the games that would be really cool to go do a dive on in the studio. Like I want to
just to see. I want to see what
Call
you did
us.
this.
We want to come and see.
We'll go.
We will fly there. I promise.
Next up, then we had Core Keeper, a game that you two especially are very familiar with. We have an update coming where you're going to be able to have a massive update with the Northern Biome on January 28th. There's a new boss. There's next-gen weapons and armor. Whole new stuff.
Yeah. I play this a lot with my wife. It's just like one of our couple games, and I love it. And so seeing new content.
Se les ha hecho muy largo el evento, ya 3 horas, es un montón.
I started playing it and suddenly I had over 100 hours in this game. I wish I could show off my base.
Yeah, I thought I was doing well. I mentioned it to
quedará media horita.
Core Keeper, and I felt pretty good about where it was.
Pues
There's 100 hours, and I this and this.
Yo 7 juegos. Dos tandas más.
It's a great game. I had a lot of fun. It's one of these games you start and suddenly you spent a week playing it.
Oh, you will lose yourself. The other night we stayed up till 1 a.m. playing it when we meant to play till 11, and it's just because.
It's good.
Yeah, it's just one more run through the mines. I'll be right back.
How would you define this game to someone who hasn't seen it?
I mean, I would say it's Stardew Valley, kind of meets Terraria, but it's like procedurally generated, up to 8-player co-op, so you can play with all of your friends, unless you have way more friends than me. And it's just every run is going to be different because it's all based on seeds, so you can have different save files for different friends and pairings. It's really, really cool.
You can actually use your same character in different save files. So if you're playing by yourself or in your friend's server, you can use the same character, or you can make a new character for their server. So it's kind of like you can visit their home.
And boss fights. I forgot about that.
Oh, the boss fights are so good.
Stardew Valley, more combat focused, but also co-op and boss fights.
So different boss fights have different mechanics. The boss system in this game is actually excellent. I have killed, I think, all of the bosses on the game as of right now, so I can't wait for the update, for the new stuff.
For a new one.
Then finally in that section we had Dusk Fade from Weird Beluga and Fire Shine.
Y Dusk Fade no me gustó, así que
They say it is a love letter to the golden era of 3D action platforming like Jak and Daxter in Ratchet and Clank.
That whole era, like the PS1, PS2 era, that's what was screaming at me.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, and then there's boss fights with dodge rolls and health bars, so therefore it is a Souls-like.
And we saw so many different environments too.
Well, like some games, you see the gameplay and
She's
you're
about
just
to lose her mind.
Well, I was gonna say, you see some gameplay and you just it's gonna feel good in the hand.
You can tell by watching somebody else play that feels so good. There's so much dopamine being
and then you
released,
actually play it and you get destroyed.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm not that good, but I will get there. It looks very, very good.
It's cute. It looks like a fun game, like you would let your kids play as well.
Is it like a good combination of all that? You even saw like a little bit of Kingdom Hearts there, a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a good mix.
And he's grabbing
the sword.
Yeah.
When the devs describe a game as a love letter to a certain genre or to other games and are not afraid to embrace that,
that's a good sign.
It's a level to be able to say that. There has to be some level of confidence there. Like, I know what I have.
And respect.
So I can call it a love letter because I know when they see it, they're going to feel the same way.
That's good. That's well said.
Siguiente tanda.
Next up, we have Shadow of the Road coming from Owlcat as well, with Another Angle Games being the dev. There is Starfinder from Epic Tellers, as well as Gallipoli from Black Mill Games.
Citizens of Nippon, a new dawn rises upon your land. Through progress and technology, we bring prosperity to all. Your nation ripples with mutiny. But our technology will protect your peace. Peace demands the sacrifice of those that stand in the way of progress. On behalf of your glorious Emperor Mutsuhito, we will bring light where there is darkness. Together, we march into a brighter tomorrow. For peace, for progress, for the Empire.
Shadows of the Road. La verdad, me están
This
quemando.
is Ricard Pillosu, and I am the co-founder at Epic Terrors Entertainment. I'm here to tell you about our first game, Starfinder Afterlight, licensed from Paizo.
A ver. Starfinder.
At its core, Starfinder Afterlight is a party-based RPG in a universe that mixes technology and magic. We focus on creating great storytelling inspired by movies like Guardians of the Galaxy or shows like Firefly.
¿Y la demo? No vimos nada. Ahí está.
While in the game you will create your own character, in the demo you play as one of the companions, Sterling.
So you give orders? Naughty.
Thanks to the success of our Kickstarter, our game will have full voiceover. The dialogue system is the main way to introduce the player to the lore of the world.
If you have the sudden, weird feeling of being naked, it's Lou. Her gaze is like an X-ray machine. By the looks on her face, she either thinks you're a joke, or it's her favorite song playing.
That was our narrator, Roger Clark, known from the Red Dead Redemption series, giving the right space western feeling we're looking for in the game.
Yeah, sorry to ruin happy hour for you, but I have bad news about the big one and the runt. Don't worry, I promise not to say I told you so.
No me
Luke
está
here is
trayendo
referring
para
to
nada.
Tycho and Cole, our friends, that after a heist gone wrong, should meet us here. Lou seems to know something about them. If you push Lou about the information she's skipping, she's going to be annoyed, and that will lower your approval with her and limit your potential romance options.
Hold on, hotshot. I own the info. I choose how to deliver it. All right. They were ambushed at Secubot offices. They knew they were coming, so now the odd couple needs our help. Happy now?
We start the combat right away. The security robots are looking for us and are waiting outside the bar.
Time for my close-up.
The game uses the battle-tested system of Pathfinder 2nd Edition with 3 actions per turn. Lou already starts in a very good place. She's a support character, so it's better for her to stay behind. She will use the ability Get Them to give a bonus to Sterling when he attacks.
¿En serio nos van a mostrar toda una demo?
And then shoot again.
Es un juego que es por turno, por lo que veo.
Now, for Sterling, what makes more sense
En vez de
is to
mejorar,
close
va
our
a peorar
distance
el
and use
evento.
our energy weapon.
Está lindo, a ver, me gusta ver gameplay, pero métanle un poco de dinamismo porque ver una partida un montón.
For combat, we decided to stay away from a grid-based system that gave the feeling of a tabletop simulator.
Time for my close-up.
Que ya sé cómo funcionan los juegos por turno.
This is it. The team is in full production to release the first 10 hours in early access for summer next year. We cannot wait to show you more. Thanks for watching.
No, de nada, de nada. Siga su camino, señor. No me interesa su juego. Tenemos acá Gallipoli.
hardcore multiplayer first-person shooter set in the Middle Eastern theater of World War I. It features authentic weapons, locations, and factions that you play with 50-player servers. How we approach it is we have a unique blend of arcade where we don't compromise on is picking the locations. Those are always the actual battles.
Primera Guerra Mundial.
The ones that were actually used, and uniforms that are as accurate as possible and plausibly used. It sets us apart there. We go quite deep on the history, but then again we're more accessible than say some of the military simulators. It's easy to jump into. Game is a bit more approachable. So in that way, it sets it apart from another subgenre in the shooters as well. If you wield one of the rifles in the game, the bolt action rifles, you expect it to be one shot, one kill. The rest of the game is built around that premise. So yes, rifles are one shot kill, but then again, it must not be the case that somebody goes around the corner and kills the entire team within 1 second. So especially in multiplayer, the fairness concept must be adhered to. So everything's built sort of around making sure that the game feels fair. So there's a balance between the gunplay that needs to happen, as well as in the way we handle spawning and how quick you are back into battle. You're very quick to be in combat here. There's other quirky weapons that are
Battlefield 1 y copiar.
but these are accurate. They were used. We don't do experimental weapons. We try to stay as accurate as possible when we model them. The locations we picked, using some geodata, a lot of investigation on images, trying to puzzle together how it looked like when the battle took place. When you're under fire, you have a difficulty reloading your weapon, for instance, and that has custom animations to it. So it's quite elaborate. Not a lot of games, if at all, do this. Where it's really dynamic based on what happens, and still fair in a way that the rules are predictable. It's not a random jamming system. It's really dependent on what the player does. One of the cooler things is that you can now build stuff together. Part of the game mode will be that you are able to construct objectives and machine guns and other things together. It's kind of like our evolution of the game mode we had in Isonso, taken to
una campaña.
You fight over a certain area. Once it's captured, you have to construct things together and then to consolidate your position, to secure it.
Bueno.
Guys, first we looked at Shadow of the Road there. Story tactical driven RPG in Japan, but also some like
Creo que queda una tanda más.
Going on.
Okay, so I actually played the demo for this game and it was super fun. It felt kind of like XCOM meets like Samurai, but there were like very unique twists. The final fight in the demo is actually really sick.
Ya estoy cansado. Ya es mucho, 3 horas.
I don't know. Give the demo a go and
3 horas y cuarto
stuff. If you like the kind of like XCOM, tactical, maybe even a little bit of like the Baldur's Gate type, definitely check it out.
There's a late 2026 release for this game. I would say, to me, someone who doesn't play these types of games, I just think the storyline, or not the storyline, like the environment is cool. It's Japan with supernatural elements. Like you saw that big robot walking around.
Sci-fi samurai. I feel like that's like a trend now, is like taking certain settings and combining it with sci-fi. That's really cool.
I'm not sure if I would say it's sci-fi, but I would say like mythology. It's just some really sick stuff. There is a lot of exploration, and exploration is actually quite cool. You can like change things in the world.
Then we had Starfinder coming from Epic Tellers. That's going to be in early access in 2026 as of right now. And the demo is actually going to be available soon during Steam Next Fest. So when this airs,
espantoso que nos hayan hecho ver una demo lenta y larga.
They were very happy that the Kickstarter was doing so well. They also got a very good team in the voice acting team, and the game seems super exciting. I can't wait to hear more about it.
I mean, being built off of Pathfinder, I think you said 2nd edition?
Yes.
You know there's going to be a lot of depth and complexity when it comes to combat too. So, I mean, I can see why people are excited. I can just certainly see.
But to me, what I can already appreciate looking at it is, okay, you guys obviously paid a lot of attention to your art style, being kind of like the Persona vibes of the pop-ups. I think is really cool, and as we know,
no expliques tanto si no vi lo que es el juego y es aburrido y feo.
Yeah, so they put a lot of detail into those, which I can appreciate, even as someone who doesn't.
And funnily enough, this character that I mentioned, that's this larvae with this grub-like character with a grub, is actually voiced by the same VA as Asterion. So,
oh goodness.
Preach is also voice acted by Neil Bone, and he's also the director of the voice acting in this game.
That's crazy.
Then we had World War I Gallipoli as our final one.
Gallipoli se ve bien, pero
here
no sé qué
with someone who, I mean, I remember you saying during the interview, it felt like a high school lesson for you listening.
Yeah, it was awesome to talk to Josh, and he gave me a real quick pronunciation lesson because luckily I got his name right, and I didn't get the name of the game right because being from Iowa, I said Gallipoli, and it is pronounced Gallipoli. Long story short, Gallipoli is covering the Ottoman front, the Eastern front throughout all of this, and what you'll find with Black Mill Games is they always have realistic weaponry for the side they're covering and for the time being World War I, and they don't miss that here.
Well, the uniforms, there's so much attention to detail, and they even have some unique gameplay systems like the suppression system where
coolest thing.
So cool.
It's basically like when the fire's coming in, like you'll start to struggle reloading and stuff.
I don't think I've ever seen, like, I'm sure, I don't know if it's been done or not, but I can't recall another game that's done that.
But it's so clever because of course you'd struggle reloading when bullets are whizzing by.
What that does for your level of immersion is,
And just to remind you guys, this game, I think they do have a PvP focus, but they're also working on a single player campaign.
Yeah, they want to do it justice of telling stories of actual battles that did take place, and they're going to continue this string. Like, they're going to continue. I even asked them, like, what do you progress forward on as a studio? Like, he's like, well, we got a lot to do still for World War I. It was a big war, and it lasted a long time, and so they're not even done here. And luckily, they have found themselves a diehard audience that wants to see this story told battle to battle, all encompassing the same war.
Well, and it's such a fascinating way to be able to preserve that piece of history.
Yeah,
exactly. Like in an interactive way where people can kind of go boots on the ground and see what it was like in of course, a gamified version, but I think it helps educate a whole new generation on something that would otherwise kind of be forgotten.
Bueno, siguiente tanda.
Okay, now
Season
our
final
final section we have here,
we will
very
meet,
exciting,
very
cool
una
one,
sección
if I had to say and use
con
the word
juego de
I've used
verdad.
so far. For the first time, a very cool section here. First up, we have Where Winds Meet, a game that obviously is already out.
I love it.
But we are getting a brand new boss coming to the Western version
Creo
of
que
the
Christian
game.
que le gustaba Where Winds
Dino
Meet.
Blade, coming from Team Spino.
Hay cosas.
Incredible looking game. And we also have exclusive interview content with Crimson Desert.
Does the moon or the south still shine bright?
Todavía seguís ahí, Cristian, pensé que ya me habías abandonado. Que te ves aburrido igual que yo. Hay una parte que se volvió un bache insufrible, ¿no? Mirá, un boss nuevo. Sí, es buen juego. Me gusta el estilo de la batalla. Los colores resaltan mucho. Y sí, por lo menos para sellar con algo bueno. Está muy bueno el estilo. Tenía 50.000 pases el boss. Lo que más me gustó de este es el parry. ¿Lo sabes usar? Es muy vistoso el combate. Una fase más. Sí, es muy difícil, tenés que tener muy buen timing con el parry. Ah, me encanta cómo se hace el piso que se distorsiona y se ve las montañas. Muy bueno. Ah, bueno, dejaron algo para que la gente juegue. Digo, van a meter toda la pelea. Versión 1.2. Disponible mañana. Un sol de dinosaurios. Qué gracioso, un sol de dinosaurio. Extinto. Dino Blade. Demo disponible en Steam. Bueno. Crimson Desert. Mucha expectativa por este juego.
Based on the trailers and based on a bunch of things that I've seen about this game, you can clearly slay dragons. Is that true?
There are dragons in the game, and you do fight them. We haven't revealed just yet whether or not you can actually slay them, but you can slay them, you can fly them.
Can you lay them?
I'm sorry to the Lua fans, but at this point we're not confirming whether or not there's dragon relations.
Could you speak a little bit to how big this game is?
We've been seeing some news out there with some specific numbers floating around about how big the map is. I don't think numbers really do it justice because how big is that in terms of scope and scale.
Bien
but what we can
optimizado.
say is the world's at least twice as big as the open world and playable area of Skyrim. It's larger than the map of a Red Dead Redemption 2. Open world games are about doing things, having activities, having distractions. So we wanted to create a world that's not only massive, but is also incredibly interactive. Obviously, you and your
Qué
community
lástima el frame
care a
rate
lot about
del
romance
stream.
systems. This is
Porque
not that
este
type
juego
of
se ve muy
game
bien.
in terms of RPG elements and decision making. What it is, though, is you choose the type of character that you want to play as in terms of your progression within the systems in the game. And then through basically head
Y no sé si lo irá a mover.
very different experience than other players.
Me conformo
Because of the scope
con
and scale
30
of the
FPS en bajo,
You'll
pero
be
bueno,
distracted by
habrá
something,
que ver.
you'll go on this quest line, you'll
Se
have an
ve
experience
difícil.
that'll be radically different
Se ve un
than someone
juego,
else, even though they're
un juego
playing the same
pesado,
game.
la verdad.
The guiding principle for the game is around empowering the player and not forcing them into specific choices. There's a lot of time between now and launch in March for us to be able to elaborate on those systems, show people if they have, say, I have an hour to jump in and play this game after work, what is my experience going to look like? So we've done a little bit of showing when you're not in combat, how you're taking advantage and interacting in the world, harvesting resource, gathering them for a whole crafting system that we have in the game for equipment, as well as
You can build your house, apparently.
there is a house. The world is made to be interacted with, and that's also how you learn.
Sí, con
about the
30
world.
FPS
So
le
by
pongo
talking to NPCs, by
los Lescalin
then you've
y vámonos. Siempre se puede solucionar el problema de los
Beyond
FPS.
like fighting, is there like puzzles? Is there like different types of quests?
That's a great question. One of the things that we showcased,
Mientras se pueda jugar, he jugado en peores condiciones.
kind of behind the scenes last September.
El asunto es jugar.
We showed them a glimpse of a bunch of different systems. One of the systems that we showed them was in what we call the aerial abyss. It's those sky islands that you see there. That's a very important and pivotal part in the story and quest and mystery surrounding the world. In those sky islands, there are puzzles. They all have a different vibe, if you will, and then treasures and rewards for completing them.
When can people get the game? Where can they get it? What does that look like for you guys?
The game comes out on March 19th across basically every platform. It'll be available on consoles on PS5, as well as Xbox Series X and S, PC, as well as natively on Mac.
Bueno, una buena interview de...
First, let's start
Vimos un
with
poco más.
Where Wins Me. Well, since the game came out, I have played basically every day that game since it came out. I really like it. I love how many we just did get new footage of a boss fight, but the game is goes way beyond this. You can play it single player. You can do everything by yourself. You can play with friends. You can have a guild. The game is mind-blowing.
Es muy bonita la chica, pero cuando habla es como que te clava puñales en los oídos.
So,
Muy
Retransmision is
finita.
such a crazy game because, for one, it's free.
Yeah.
Which is wild. It's monetized exclusively through cosmetics.
Yep.
So they've even said we will never monetize power within the game, which I think is the way it should be.
Yeah.
But they also want to it has kind of two sides to it, where it does have the single player adventure side, because you can play by yourself. You can play co-op, going through the new boss fight together with your friends. And then there's also a side of it which is heavily inspired by classical MMOs, where a player does something bad, they get put in the back of a cart and everybody comes in and throws tomatoes at them.
I feel like it's a modern MMO that actually knows the audience. We love seeing those kind of things. And those are the kind of things that also appeal to, it doesn't matter Eastern or Western, but those are the kind of things that people are going to talk about.
This game is shocking on how much depth it has.
There really is nothing like it.
God, the game is beautiful.
It's absolutely crazy. And every boss fight is different and visually pretty stunning, I would say.
Speaking of, we watched the boss fight, the Master's Message. It seems like it's based on, obviously, you're reading the Master's Message. You have to fight a different version of this ink boss. While we were watching it, you, Rob, specifically were like you haven't played this game, but you're watching it and you're thinking, wow, maybe I should play this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Why? What looks good about it?
It looks so satisfying. There's something about it, you know how it is when you're fighting a boss and it's the movement's almost fluid and you're almost in rhythm with the boss and their moveset. And that's what makes games like that are boss centric so satisfying to play. There's something about mastering a boss's moveset.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people like the combat in this game. All that stuff you said, very true. And very expansive. And then the flip side is the combat is also really good.
Yeah, it looks very good. I think that's what Luke was talking about. It's just the fact
Sí,
that
el
it's free to
combate
play.
es
Even
muy bueno
myself,
de Where Wins Me.
before it was released, so I was
Sí,
so
es un juego
skeptical
lindo.
of it. It's there's no way. There's a catch. There's got to, because naturally with the nature of our industry, there's been so much free-to-play stuff that comes out and you're not what I expected, but this seems to be a really, really quality game.
Then we also saw Dino Blade here, which an
Sí, no, es muy gracioso.
fiction and action game centered, obviously fighting as a dinosaur with a sword. The demo is available on Steam right now for PC. It's about an hour long.
Bueno, hay una demo.
If you want, have
No
some
sé si
fun.
haga
We
un
got
video
to
de
see a
todos
new
los juegos
dinosaur
juntos que
in that
tienen
trailer
demo
that's
o
never
los
been
hago
seen
por separado,
before.
ya veré.
It's planned for release still.
Porque no hay mucho ahora en enero para
2026,
hacer.
so sometime next year. No
Más
specific
que
date right
directos.
now. I'm kicking it to Rob first.
Dinosaurs with sword, like it's a dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur.
Soul, like, dude, like just watching the trailer, like I could feel my testosterone rising. Like my bench press max went up like 20 pounds. Because I could.
The music and everything.
Dude,
Really...
dude, the Linkin Park montages are gonna be great.
Dude, it's so weird.
It's ridiculous.
So
like,
I love
give it to me. I want it.
Highly anticipated, I think, across the board, just because it's like so fun. It's such a gamer game. Dinosaur swords, like you can't really beat that. Then to end things off, we have Crimson Desert, a game
Another crazy good.
everyone familiar with. I would say it's been marketed for a very long time. People know it's coming. It's coming from Pearl Abyss, which is Black Desert as well.
The entire game is built on their proprietary engine, which it was fascinating to hear how they've broken it down, because like, you see Crimson Desert and so many things about it look too good to be true. They look crazy. They have hundreds of enemies on screen. They have all of this physics simulation. They have crazy stuff where like they have sky islands you can jump down from straight
Bueno,
down
muchachos.
to the surface.
Pensé que estaban hablando de Dino todavía.
Just
Ah,
to
está con Chris.
explain in the physics simulation that he's talking about.
Bueno,
So,
¿quiénes son?
for example, if you have like a siege weapon and you throw a boat at
Necesito que
a
salga.
house,
Ya
you can
hace
actually see
2
the
años que venimos
destruction
dando
starting
vueltas
from
con
where
Crimson
the
Desert.
boat hit and everything else falling down, falling through it.
Well, and people see that, and from our frame of like, you know, standard open worlds in Unreal Engine 5 or something, not that that's a bad engine or anything, but like we see that and we assume, okay, it's going to run terribly. Okay, it's going to have frame drops or it's going to stutter. Okay, this or that. But this is an engine that they have built from the ground up with this game basically in mind. And it's just absolutely crazy because we've had the chance to play it, and that just is what the game is. It's ridiculous and crazy. And what's even crazier is that Will even shared with us some very special information that we are breaking here for the first time.
The size of the game is 2
times
Skyrim.
We didn't even rehearse that.
That just happened.
It's twice the size of Skyrim. It's actually bigger than the entire map of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Which is crazy.
Which I love that Will follows.
Quieren tomar como puntos Red Dead Redemption 2. Hay que hacer mucho trabajo ahí atrás.
We're bigger. It's crazy.
Well, I saw from the first gameplay clip that you could ride a dragon and a bear. Like, quite honestly, I don't know how my body's gonna keep up with this level of testosterone. Between that
It
dino
is not
blade,
the first
like,
game.
dude,
It is not
If
the
there was a
first
dinosaur to
We're
ride,
gonna
we'd
see
be
you
in trouble.
next year for the next show, and you're just gonna be walking around.
put
Guys,
on 40
it's not
pounds
the
of
first game
lean
that you
mass.
can ride a bear.
Huh?
Huh?
What'd you say?
Not the first game you can ride a bear. It might be true, but
different kind of ride.
Baldur's Gate 3 right
But also, when you drop a line like that, you mentioned confidence. Like, you don't drop a line like that without knowing that you are confident in your game.
They are
you
putting
that for a
themselves
reason.
in the same bucket as Skyrim and Red Dead 2, and I think that tells you all you need to know about their confidence level of where they're at.
Coming March 19th.
Coming March 19th.
Let's go. Thank you, those of you who stayed with us from beginning to end. We really appreciate you. This has been a blast to work with on the background. Those guys have been amazing.
Parece que eso ha sido todo.
In a few different directions, we would all probably feel.
Bien.
Obviously, for like myself, thank the team, production team as
Estuvo
well.
más o menos bien el evento porque hubo algunos juegos buenos que me gustaron.
It's like a new thing.
Pero tendrían que haber acortado mucho. Sin tanto hablar de ellos, hubiese durado 1 hora y media menos fácil. En 2 horas arreglaban todo. Y la calidad, los cortes, esto no es problema mío, esto es problema de ellos. Así que bueno, mientras se van despidiendo, gracias a lo que pasaron, gracias a ti por haberte quedado hasta el último. A los que van a pasar después, dejen un like, suscríbanse. Nos vamos a ver en el Xbox Developer Direct, que es el 22 de enero. Pero capaz que antes hay un evento de Capcom, creo. Cualquier cosa, saben que prendo aviso. Vemos que hay. Y bueno, seguramente suba video en estos días de las demos, de los juegos que salieron acá, de algunos que me interesaron.
But hopefully for the next one, we can plan more in advance and people can be a part of it and like, hey, let's go travel to people, right? And do interviews in person.
Y bueno, y si lo vuelven a hacer estos pibes, que mejoren el ritmo del evento.
I had no idea that game existed until you explained it to me, and now I'm interested in that game.
Ni para despedirse lo hacen rápido. Me quedo porque no sé si habrá algo más o no, si no, cierto, no va a haber.
And then they also give you guys a different show of like, this is the team behind it, and the personalities you can attach yourself to for the future of these games.
It was great putting faces to these developers as well, because, you know, this industry.
Sí, muchos desarrolladores se prestaron para esto. Lo vieron como interesante. Está bueno que hayan tenido muchos juegos.
Well, to all of you guys out there, this has been the first ever edition of New Game Plus. It has been an absolute honor for all of us to come together, and hopefully much more coming in the future. You know, we all love, at the very core, we love freaking video games, and we got to show you guys so much today, and hopefully more in the future. It's been an absolute pleasure, and here's to that future.
Much more coming.
Cheers.
Cheers. I don't have any.
Cheers.
Nothing left after 3 hours.
Bueno, no, ahí quedamos. The Cube, espero, quiero ver gameplay de The Cube. Bueno, ahora sí, los despido. Será hasta el próximo directo, video o lo que surja. Y me voy porque se hizo muy largo todo. Hasta la próxima. Bye. Gracias, Cristian, y gracias a los que pasen todos después. Dejen un like. Nos vemos.